I've worked the night shift at the county dispatch center for 6 years now. You get used to the silence, the long stretches of nothing, static humming through your headset while the rest of the world sleeps. Most nights are just waiting. Coffee, weather reports, dead air. But some nights crawl in through the wires. It was just past 2 a.m. when the line lit up. Line 3, incoming call. I adjusted my headset, cleared my throat, and hit the button. 911, what's your emergency? At first, just static. Loud, fuzzy, broken static, like an old TV between channels. Hello. I said again, a little louder this time. This is 911. Can you hear me? Then under the noise, a voice. Panicked. Male. Young. Maybe early 20s if I had to guess. They're out there. My hand froze over the keyboard. Sir, I need you to speak slowly. Who is out there? A gasp. The sound of wind whipping across the receiver. The shadows, he said. In the field. I can't. They're watching the house. Okay, I said calmly, typing in what little info I had. Can you tell me your name and location? But he didn't answer the question. I turned off all the lights. Locked every door. But they still know. They still know I'm here. Sir, listen to me, I said, trying to ground him. I need your address. Where are you calling from? Then, the line popped. Louder static now, screaming in my ear like someone ripping open the sky. And then, silence. Complete. Sudden. I looked at the screen. The call had dropped. No number. No trace. Blocked ID. I stared at the blinking cursor on the incident log. A whole call with no location. No callback number. Nothing to send a unit to. My palms were sweating. That doesn't happen to me anymore. I've heard it all. Murders, fires, overdoses. But something about that voice, those words, the shadows in the field, it didn't feel like a prank or a psych case. It felt real. And wrong. I took off the headset and rubbed my eyes. Maybe it was interference from one of the old cell towers. Rural lines out here go bad all the time. Still, I couldn't shake it. I decided to look through the call logs. No entry. No trace of the call ever coming through. Not even under line 3. I sat back. Just for a second. Just long enough to wonder if maybe I dozed off, dreamed it. Then line 3 lit up again. Same blocked ID. I answered fast this time. 911. What's your emergency? No voice. Just breathing. Slow. Shaky. Is this the same caller? I asked. Sir, if you can hear me, I need a location. Anything you can see. Old Mill Road, he whispered. Third turn past the rail line. No lights. They cut the power. Please come fast. A scream. Louder than before. The kind of scream that sticks to your skin. Then static again. Then nothing. I called over to our night supervisor, Diane. Told her I needed a trace. She wandered over, tired and annoyed, cradling her coffee. What's the number? She asked. There isn't one. She frowned. I gave her the description. Young male caller. Shadows in the field. Old Mill Road. Old Mill? She muttered, flipping through the emergency grid map. There's nothing out there. Just forest and abandoned farmland. Not even power lines. What about houses? She shook her head. Maybe 60 years ago, but that whole region's marked as unoccupied. We call it the dead zone. That name chilled me. Dead zone. Even the way she said it felt. Final. Still, I logged the location manually and tried sending a ping to patrol units. No response. Both units in the area came back, out of range. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the map. The green pin I dropped on Old Mill Road blinked on the screen. Nothing else around it. No towns. No streetlights. Just woods. Then line 3 lit up again. Same blocked ID. This time I hesitated, but I answered. 911. A rush of wind slammed through the line, followed by sobbing. Are you there? I asked. Yes, he said, barely audible. They're closer now. I froze. Where are you in the house? The attic. My heart skipped. Is there a way out? No. What do they look like? Silence. Then, in a soft, cracked voice. They don't have faces. Just skin. All skin. Static again. But this time, I could hear movement under it. Heavy, wet sounds. Something dragging. Something sniffing. Then the voice whispered. They're listening to us. The line cut. Gone. I called Diane again. She started pulling up old maps, old dispatch records. There was a property there 40 years ago. A farmhouse that burned down. No survivors. No living family, she said. No rebuilds. No emergency calls in that region since 1982. I checked again. No digital record of the calls I'd just taken. I played back the tapes. Blank. Nothing but hissing. And then, at the end of the last tape, right before it ended, one word whispered through the static. Help. I know what you're thinking. Faulty line. Equipment glitch. Maybe someone playing a sick joke. But here's the thing. The next night, same time, 2:03 a.m., line 3 rang again. Same voice. Same scream. Same shadows. And it's happened every night since. Always the same voice. Always the same words. And I can't stop answering. Even when the line is dead. Even when no one's speaking. Because I swear, some nights, I can hear them breathing through the wires that I didn't sleep the next day. I tried. I went home after my shift, crawled into bed, turned on the fan for background noise like always, but it was useless. My head was too loud. That voice from the call, it just kept replaying in my mind. They don't have faces. They're listening to us. That wasn't the kind of thing you hear and forget. I kept thinking about that stretch of land, Old Mill Road. The dead zone, Diane called it. No residents. No lights. Nothing for miles. Except that voice. Except those screams. When I got back to dispatch the following night, I told myself to let it go. Strange things happen in this job. People make prank calls. People hallucinate. Sometimes the wires pick up old radio chatter or something. That's all it was. Had to be. Still, I pulled up the incident log from last night. Nothing. No mention of line 3 ever ringing. No record of the call. Even the manual notes I typed were gone. That made my chest feel tight. I looked over at Diane, sipping her coffee and going through weather alerts. I didn't want to seem paranoid, but something didn't sit right. So I did what I shouldn't have done. I opened the archived system, the one with logs going back decades. Not many people check it, but it's still connected to the statewide database. And I typed in one thing, Old Mill Road. It took a while to load. The screen flickered, then buzzed. Then, dozens of entries. Dozens. All from that same location. Some of them were from the 2000s. A few from the 80s. One as far back as 1964. I opened the oldest one. A call from a teenage girl. Said she saw figures in the corn. No names listed. No follow-up reports. Just a note at the bottom. No response from local unit. The next one was a man, mid-30s. Claimed the sky went black, like something passed over the house. Another, they're not animals. I thought they were, but they're not. Over and over again. All different people. Different decades. Same location. Same type of call. And every single one ended the same way. Call disconnected. No units dispatched. No trace available. I felt cold. Not scared yet. Not fully. Just confused. On edge. Like someone had opened a door in my brain that wasn't meant to be opened. I printed out 4 of the call summaries and brought them over to Diane. Hey, take a look at these, I said. She glanced through them, not really interested. Old stuff. What? They're all from Old Mill Road. That made her pause. She flipped the top page back and forth, then squinted at the dates. This one says 1978, she muttered. But that farmhouse burned down in 85. I nodded. Then why are there calls from 1994? 2006. She didn't answer. She just set the papers down and walked back to her desk. The rest of the shift was quiet. Unsettlingly so. Until 2:03 a.m. Line 3 rang. I didn't want to answer. I stared at the blinking light like it was a loaded gun. But I picked up anyway. 911. What's your emergency? Static, but quieter this time. Then the voice again. Same voice. Just as scared. Just as broken. There in the field again, he whispered. Same spot. Who are you? I asked. What's your name? No answer. Where exactly are you calling from? Same place I always do. I felt the hairs rise on the back of my neck. You've called before? A pause. Every night, he whispered. For a long time. The line cracked with noise. Then, they never come. You never come. You just listen. And then I disappear again. I felt sick. Who never comes? Cops. You. Anyone. They don't let you. They cut the wires before you can reach me. I leaned forward. Are you saying someone is cutting your phone line? He laughed. Just once. A short, dry sound. Not someone. What do you mean? Silence again. Then he said it, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. The shadows. I gripped the desk. Listen to me, I said slowly. I'm here. I hear you. And I want to help. But you have to give me a name. His voice dropped to a whisper. Tyler. Tyler Owens. I typed it in. No results. Tyler, I need you to stay on the line. I'm going to send help. You won't, he said. You never do. The line clicked. Gone. Just like that. I looked back at the system. No active call listed. No entry for Tyler Owens. I dug deeper. Opened the oldest database we had. Physical files from the 60s and 70s. I knew the archives were mostly junk, faded and warped from years of heat and moisture. But there it was. 1971. A missing persons report. Name, Tyler Owens. Age, 21. Location, farmhouse on Old Mill Road. Details, reported missing after neighbors heard screams. No remains found. Case unsolved. I stared at it for a long time. Then I printed it. I held the paper in my hands and walked outside. Needed air. The lot behind the dispatch building is dark and empty at night. Quiet. Too quiet. There's a utility pole near the back, covered in old wires. It buzzes sometimes. But tonight, there was no buzzing. Just dead silence. Then I heard it. A crackle, like a phone line turning on. And a whisper, so close I almost dropped the paper. You never come. I turn around fast. Nothing there. Just the pole, the wires, and a single black crow sitting on the ledge, watching me. The next night, I brought the printed reports to Diane again. Told her everything. She just stared at me. Not angry. Not dismissive. Just hollow. Then she said something I didn't expect. You're not the first one to hear him. I blinked. What? She leaned in. There was a dispatcher before me. Name was Randall. Worked here from 93 to 97. Quit out of nowhere. Wouldn't talk to anyone. I waited. He kept saying the same thing. Over and over again. There's a boy trapped in the static. I felt the paper slip in my hand. Did he mean Tyler? I asked. She didn't answer. Just sipped her coffee, eyes unfocused. When I walked back to my desk, line 3 was already blinking. I didn't answer it. Not this time. I let it ring. But it didn't stop. It just kept going, and going, and going, until finally, I picked up. Didn't say anything. Just listened. And from the other end, I heard him. Quiet. Almost crying. You hear me now? There's this thing that happens when you work night shift long enough. You stop trusting silence. You start hearing things in the buzz of old monitors or in the hum of the vending machine across the hall. It creeps in slowly. You don't even notice it at first. But once it's in you, you hear everything. It had been 3 nights since I first heard him. Tyler Owens, the voice in the static, the boy from a place that shouldn't exist. And ever since then, line 3 kept ringing. Every night, around 2 a.m., always him, always the same message. They're outside again. That night, I decided to stop taking the calls. Just for one night. I thought maybe if I didn't answer, it would stop. It didn't. Instead, it rang for 5 minutes straight, until the system froze. I had to hard reboot the terminal. That had never happened before. Not in all my years working here. Diane was out sick, so I had the office mostly to myself, which is probably why I got bold. There's an old media locker in the back room. One most people don't touch anymore. It's full of cassette tapes from the 60s through the late 90s, back when everything was still analog. Technically, those tapes aren't supposed to leave the archives. But I had a hunch. If Tyler Owens had been calling for decades, maybe some of those calls were recorded. I grabbed a few from the labeled Old Mill region. Most of them were warped. The paper labels were faded. Some didn't even have full dates. Just years scribbled in black marker. I loaded the first tape into the playback machine. Nothing but dead air. Then static. And then a girl's voice. Young. Around 16. He's watching the barn again, she whispered. I told Daddy, but he says it's just the wind. But I saw it. I saw it move. The line cracked with static. Then silence. Then, they're outside again. My skin went cold. I popped to the next tape. This time, a man, maybe 40s, sounded drunk or scared or both. There's figures out in the field. Tall ones. I swear to God they ain't human. The voice trembled. My dog's gone. Doors are locked. I don't know what they want. Then, lower, almost to himself. They're outside again. I sat back, heart pounding. Tape after tape. Different voices. Different years. Same words. Always ending the same way. I kept playing them. 1992. A woman whispering that the corn was moving even though there was no wind. 2004. A teenage boy saying the shadows had arms too long to be real. 2010. A man sobbing that something was knocking on the walls from the inside. Every one of them ended with the same broken whisper. They're outside again. I didn't know what to do. I just sat there in the dark playback room, hunched over the machine, sweating. The tapes felt wrong. Not just the words. Not just the voices. But the way the static sounded. Like it was alive. Like something was crawling inside it. Then the light in the room flickered. Just once. But that was enough. I took the tapes back to my desk and started trying to cross-reference the names. Nothing came up. No matching incidents in our official database. All these voices. All these reports. All of them buried. Why? Why didn't anyone do anything? Why weren't they followed up? Why did the system treat them like they never happened? That's when I noticed something on the last tape. A second voice. Not the caller. Not the dispatcher either. Just after the static. Just before the line cut. I replayed it over and over. Low. Deep. Not human. Not even trying to sound human. It said, "Stop listening." I pulled off the headphones. I couldn't breathe. I sat there, heart thudding in my chest, mouth dry. What the hell had I just heard? Was it some kind of interference? A corrupted recording? Or was it real? I decided to digitize the last clip and enhance it. Isolated the waveform, boosted the lower frequencies, cleaned the static. And there it was, clear as day, a voice in the static saying, "Stop listening." And then, as if it knew I wouldn't, "Or will come to you." The lights in the dispatch room dimmed. I swear on everything, I didn't imagine it. They dimmed, only for a second. Then everything was back to normal. But the screen froze. The enhanced waveform glitched, and a new file popped up on my desktop. I didn't click anything, didn't press a single key, but it opened by itself. It was an audio file, titled "Callback." I played it, and it was my own voice. Me, whispering. They're outside again. I slammed the laptop shut. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I just sat there, shaking. I didn't remember ever saying those words. But it was me. I know my own voice. And something in me knew, deep down, this wasn't just some playback. This was a message. Something was reaching out, or maybe reaching in. I went to the records room again, started pulling old case files. I knew I wasn't supposed to, but I didn't care. Found a box labeled "Unresolved Distress," Region 6. Old Mill Road fell under Region 6. Inside were 3 folders. No names on them, just numbers. I opened the first one. Photocopy of a 911 log from 1971. Caller reported seeing something tall and dark near the edge of the woods. Said it bent the corn without touching it. Case closed as no unit response. Second file, 1986. Same story. Third file, 2004. Dispatcher note at the bottom. Caller disconnected after whispering. They're outside again. Then, scrawled in red pen. We keep hearing it. Different voices. Same words. They always end that way. What? No answer. Just an ink stain across the rest of the page. Like someone spilled something while writing. Or maybe something knocked their hand away. I didn't know what to think anymore. I didn't feel like myself. I kept thinking about that audio file. The one with my own voice. Had I said those words in my sleep? Were they using me? Was I next? My stomach turned. I shut everything down. Left the files, the tapes, all of it. But before I could walk out, line 3 blinked. Not rang. Blinked. Like it was waiting. I stared at it. It didn't light up like a normal call. No ringtone. No beep. Just a slow, steady pulse. I reached out, hand trembling. And I heard it, before I even picked up, from the headset speaker, faint as breath. We warned you. Then the power cut out. Total darkness. In the pitch black, I swear. I heard footsteps. Not in the hall. Not outside. inside the wires that there's something wrong with the phone. I don't just mean a glitch, or a loose wire, or interference from the towers. I mean the phone itself is wrong. It's been 4 nights now. 4 nights of Tyler's voice. 4 nights of the same call, same time, same phrase. They're outside again. But last night was different. The power had gone out. Everything shut off. No lights, no screens, no backup generator. I sat alone in the dark, holding my breath like that would make a difference. And line 3 was still blinking. No power, no signal, no system, just blinking. Like it wasn't part of the console anymore. Like it was alive. I didn't answer. I walked out, called a night, told myself I'd file a tech report in the morning, have the entire system checked. But even when I got home, I kept hearing it. Not literally. Not like the sound was coming through my walls. It was deeper than that. Like it was stuck inside me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the blinking light. Every time I turned on the faucet or opened the fridge, I swore I heard faint static crackling underneath. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just sat in my apartment, lights on, all night, waiting for something that never came. But I knew it would, and I was right. Because tonight, I came back to work. I had to. Some part of me couldn't stay away. It's like the line was pulling me back. Diane didn't show up. Neither did the tech guy. No one else was on the schedule for the night. Just me. Alone. I thought about going home, turning around, pretending I never heard anything, never saw anything, just letting it all fade away. But the moment I stepped into dispatch, line 3 lit up, not blinking this time, ringing, full ring, loud and clear, even though the system still showed as offline. I froze, then walked over slowly. My hand hovered over the receiver, and I remember what the voice said on that enhanced tape. Or we'll come to you. I picked up. No sound, just breath. Not Tyler, not the scared young man I'd gotten used to. This was something else, something smaller. Hello, I said. A child's voice answered. No older than 7, maybe 8. Soft, calm, like they were sitting in a room with me. Now you're here too, they said. I didn't speak. I couldn't. My throat felt like it had closed. The child kept talking, still whispering, still calm. You hear us now. You're one of the listeners. What do you want? I finally choked out. The voice giggled. You picked up. That's all it takes. My skin went cold. Where's Tyler? I asked. More giggling. Then the sound of something wet dragging across the receiver, like flesh sliding across glass. He called too many times, the child said. They wanted him back. I gripped the desk to keep from falling over. What are they? I asked. A pause. Then, they were listeners once too. I stared at the blank console. The lights weren't even on anymore. No power. No system. Just the call. Just the voice. Why me? I whispered. The child didn't answer right away. Then, because you stayed on the line, I slammed the receiver down. It didn't help. The ringing didn't stop. It kept going. Over and over. Louder and louder. I ripped the headset out. Pulled the phone cables. Everything. I yanked the power strip from the wall. Sparks flew. The room went dark. Dead. But the phone was still ringing. I backed away slowly. Then it stopped. Just like that. Silence. For a second, I thought maybe it was over. Maybe I'd broken whatever signal they were using. Then the console lit up. One light. Just one. Line 3. No ring. No beep. Just the red light. I stood there, frozen, staring at it. Then it answered itself. I swear to God, I didn't touch it. The line clicked open, and that voice came through again. The child, whispering slow. Come see where we call from. Then static, louder than ever. Screaming static, like wind tearing through wires. I dropped the headset. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my keys and ran. Didn't lock up. Didn't sign out. Just got in my car and drove. And as I drove, my radio lit up. No music. No station. Just the same whisper. Come see. And I knew where. Old Mill Road. I didn't want to go. I tried to keep driving past the turn. But my hands turned the wheel on their own. I don't even remember hitting the signal. The road was pitch black. No houses. No lights. But my car kept moving. I could feel the static building inside my head. My ears started to ring. And then, I saw it. The old farmhouse. Or what was left of it. Burned beams. Collapsed roof. A single chimney, still standing crooked. But the lights were on. Not electrical lights. Not real ones. But something glowing. Something moving. I stopped the car. Opened the door. And the static stopped. Everything went silent. And from the wreckage of that house, a phone started ringing. Faint, but clear. I took a step forward. Another. I walked through the weeds and the dry grass. Toward the sound. Inside, there was a phone sitting on the old wood floor. Not plugged into anything. Just sitting there. Ringing. I bent down. My hands were shaking. I picked it up, and a voice whispered, "Now you're here too. That was a week ago. They never found my car. Never found me. But I'm still here. I don't know where here is exactly. But it's not just a place. It's a signal. A loop. A trap. And I'm part of it now. Just like Tyler. Just like all the others who called. Just like all the others who answered. You can still hear me, can't you? When the line rings. When the static starts. That's me. Saying it again. Over and over. They're outside again. And if you listen too long, if you stay on the line, then someday, you'll hear your own voice whispering back. You get used to weird calls in this job. Naked guy running down the highway? Sure. Someone seeing their dead grandma outside the window? Happens more than you'd think. People swear the voices in their walls are real. They usually aren't. But every now and then, one hits different. It was 3:14 a.m. when the line lit up. Line 4. Never gets much traffic. I picked up with the usual script. 911. What's your emergency? No response. Just shallow breathing. I asked again. Louder. Then I heard a whisper. I'm trapped. It was a man. Young, maybe early 30s. Voice tight, like he was trying not to cry. What's your name? I asked. He didn't answer that. Just, someone's breathing above me. I leaned forward, heart starting to race. Sir, can you tell me your location? I don't know. I paused. What do you mean? He whispered again, more frantic this time. I don't know where I am. I woke up here. It's like a tunnel, but small, cramped, dirt walls. Can't move much. He started panting. The call picked up every tiny sound, fingers brushing against wood, his own heartbeat. Maybe it's above me now. What is? I don't know. He was trying not to cry. I could hear it in his voice. It's breathing. I can feel it through the ceiling, like it's waiting for me to speak again. I muted the mic for a second. Ran a trace. Nothing. No GPS lock. No tower ping. It was like the call was coming from nowhere. Are you underground? I asked. He paused. Yeah. Crawl space or something worse. It's all dirt and wood. Old. There's no door. No light. I could hear the panic rising in his chest. Okay, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Let's figure this out together. Do you remember anything before you woke up? Silence. Then, there was a sound. Like static. I was walking home, and everything went quiet. Like the air dropped out. Then I woke up here. I typed notes furiously. No location. No ID. No backtrace. But he was real. You can always tell. The breath. The pauses. The way people talk when they're scared. It's crawling again. I froze. The voice was barely a whisper now. It's dragging something. Like nails or wire. It knows I'm awake. Don't speak. I whispered. Just listen to me. I turned the gain up on the call. And then I heard it. Something above him. Creaking. Scratching. Wet breath. Like something huge with lungs full of water was sniffing around for him. I cover my mouth. Because I could hear it too. I'm not the first, he said. There's something down here. It's not a place. It's a trap. What's your name? I asked again. He hesitated. Dale. Dale, I believe you. I'm going to do everything I can to help. Just don't hang up. Do you have anything with you? Phone. Flashlight. Phone's dead. I don't even know how this call's working. I didn't either. The console wasn't even logging the call. It wasn't real time. It was like I was listening through something old. A delay, a buzz, a warble at the edges of his words. Then he said something I'll never forget. I think it's using me to talk. What? I think the thing above me. I think it needs someone else to hear it. I'm just the speaker. He stopped breathing for a second. Then the line crackled, and I heard a voice that wasn't Dale. Lower. Slower. Like someone imitating a human. More crawl. More sleep. Keep breathing. I jerked the headset off. I swear to God, I felt something warm behind me. I turned around fast. Dispatch was empty. but the room felt smaller, heavier. I put the headset back on. "Dale," I whispered. No answer, just dragging, and the low hiss of something slithering away. Then Dale came back, shaky, breathing hard. It spoke, didn't it? Yeah. It's never done that before. I didn't know what to say. I was shaking. This wasn't just a missing person. This was something else. "Dale, I'm going to get someone to trace this. We're going to find you. Just keep talking to me, okay?" But he didn't. Not right away. Then, "There's bones in here." "What kind of bones?" I asked, almost whispering. "Small. Human, maybe. Chewed. Some of them still warm." I gripped the desk tighter. My hands were sweating. "What do you see?" I asked. "Nothing. But I hear breathing. All the time. Not just above. Below, too." That's when the second line rang. Line 1. Same timestamp. I blinked. Picked it up. Another voice. Female this time. Crying. "I'm stuck. I can't move. Something's breathing above me." I stare at both consoles. My throat went dry. 2 different calls. 2 different voices. Same words. Same horror. I tried to speak, but before I could say anything, line 2 rang. Then line 5. All saying the same thing. "I'm trapped. I don't know where I am. It's breathing above me." I disconnected them all. Yanked the headset out. Lines still blinking. The room felt alive, like the air was watching me. Then Dale's voice came back, faint, through the unplugged headset. "Now you're listening too." I dropped it, backed away from the console. It didn't stop. The calls just kept coming. All whispering, all begging, some laughing, some choking. I ran to the server room, pulled the power. Whole dispatch went dark. But the headset was still whispering, still breathing. And somewhere in the dark behind me, something creaked, like wood shifting above a crawl space. That was 3 days ago. They say I left my post. Say I fabricated the logs. They found my headset smashed on the floor. But I swear, I never made any of it up. I still hear them. In my walls. In my vents. Breathing. Waiting. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I hear the call again. I'm trapped. Something's breathing above me. I've been thinking a lot about Dale. I know I shouldn't. I know the higher-ups told me to forget it, to chalk it up to stress or a faulty line or even a prank. But I can't, because he called again. Last night. Same time. 3:14 a.m. Same line. Same voice. But this time, he wasn't whispering. He was crying. Shaky, soft. And the first thing he said was, "She's right above me." That sentence alone, God, it still sticks to the back of my teeth. I asked Dale, is it still there? He didn't answer right away. Just this deep, choked inhale. Then he whispered, "She's copying me." "What?" I asked. He took another breath, and I heard his second breath echo his. Same length, same sound, like a sick mirror. "Every time I move, she moves," he said. "Every time I breathe, she breathes. But faster, like she's mocking me." I turned all the lights on in the dispatch room. I don't know why. I think I just wanted to feel like something was real. "Dale, listen," I said. "We've got teams reviewing the call logs. Nobody found your coordinates. Can you try again? Can you give me anything?" He sniffled, then started spelling something. "North 33.017. He paused, then continued. "West 116.899. I typed it in fast. Waited. No match. No registered location. Not even a nearby town. Just blank. Like he gave me a spot that doesn't exist. Or a place that's been removed. "Dale, are you sure?" I asked. "Those coordinates don't lead anywhere." He paused. "That's where I am." I zoomed in on the map. There was a road. County line. But nothing built. No address. No name. Just dry, cracked land. Then he said, "I don't think she likes you listening." I felt my throat tighten. "Why?" He whispered. "She only crawls when you talk. It's like she's trying to find the sound." Right then, the line picked up faint static. But it wasn't really static. It was rhythm. A pattern. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Almost matching my breathing. And then I heard scratching. Not from Dale's end. From my headset. I jerked it off, heart pounding. Held it at arm's length. Still heard it, dragging claws across wood. Then Dale whispered, "She's above you now, too." I froze, slowly looked up. Just ceiling tiles. Fluorescent lights. Nothing there. But I swear I heard it. Something soft. Sliding. Then he said something I still don't understand. She's always just above whoever listens. She wears your breath like a mask. I didn't respond. Couldn't. I just kept breathing. Quiet. Trying not to let her copy it. Dale whispered again. Do you know what skin sounds like when it's dragged over nails? My mouth went dry. I do now. He started crying again. Real raw. Like someone at the very edge. I asked, what do you see? Anything? A door? A symbol? Something we can trace. He sniffled. There's a carving. Just one. What does it look like? He was silent for a while. Then, it's me. I didn't understand. You mean a name? No. My face. Someone carved my face into the wall. But it's older than me. Dried. Flaking. Like it's been there for years. He sobbed. There's dozens of them. All different. All real. All people who came before. I couldn't stop picturing it. A narrow dirt tunnel. No light. Just the sound of someone breathing right above you. And your face, carved into the wall, waiting for you to arrive. Dale, I whispered. I believe you. I need you to hang on. Please. We're going to figure this out. But then, the static changed. It got closer. I could hear her. Right above him. Mimicking. She hissed. A low, guttural laugh, like an animal trying to copy a joke it didn't understand. Here. Here too, here. I slammed the mute. Stared at the wall. I was sweating through my shirt. I wasn't alone in that room. I felt it. Not saw. Not heard. Felt. Like something hovering just behind your thoughts. Like a shadow in your lungs. I unmuted. Dale. He was whispering again. She's moving faster now. She's excited. Like she knows someone new is listening. I said, we have to get you out. And he said, it's too late. I think she already got out through me. I blinked. What do you mean? The call. I felt it. When she copied me, she left something behind. An opening. I didn't understand. And then, he said something that shook me. I don't think this is a place. He paused. I think it's a pattern. A curse. A design. You trace it by listening. You enter by knowing. And once you hear her, you're already beneath her. The call cut. Just silence. Not even a disconnect tone. Just gone. I stared at the coordinates he gave me. Still empty on the map. But I zoomed in, and I swear, I saw something new. A thin black line in the dirt. Too perfect to be natural. Not a structure. Not a road. Just a line. Like a crawl space. Waiting. That was last night. Tonight, I tried calling the number back. The line doesn't exist. But when I put my headset on, there it was. Breathing. Waiting. And when I exhaled, I heard her do it too. A split second later. Right above me. The signal moved last night. That's the first thing that made me realize this isn't just a lost man. It's something worse. Something that wants to be heard, but doesn't want to be found. After Dale's last call, the one where he whispered that she had gotten out through him, I couldn't sleep. I stayed in the dispatch room. Told my supervisor I had paperwork to catch up on. He didn't argue. I kept staring at those coordinates. The ones Dale gave. North 33.017. West 116.899. Nothing there. No house. No road. But around 4:12 a.m., my screen flickered. Just once. Like static. And then, for a split second, the map shifted. The dot that marked Dale's call, the red X, moved. About 3 miles north. Then it vanished. I checked the logs, the software, everything. The call records showed no change. No movement. But I saw it. I know I did. It was like someone dragged the dot across the map. Like Dale wasn't trapped in one place. He was being pulled. So I did something I probably wasn't supposed to do. I contacted search and rescue. Not the main line. My cousin Chris. He's stationed in East Borrego. Rural area, couple towns over. I asked if he could get a team near that section of County Line Road. Quietly. I didn't mention Dale. Just said I'd picked up a weird emergency ping. Possible structural collapse, maybe even a sinkhole. Chris said they'd head out before sunrise. He called me at 6:03 a.m. Said they got there and found nothing. No signs of disturbance. No sinkhole. No power lines, fencing, tracks, nothing. Just dry land and broken shrubs. I told him to wait, to walk 40 yards north from the point I sent. I was watching the map the whole time. And as they moved north, the dot moved again, but not in real time. It jerked, like someone dragging a dead animal across cement. Chris said, "There's something weird out here." I asked what. He said, "There's a trail, but it's not on the dirt. It's under it, like the topsoil's been cracked from beneath. Long, narrow lines, not wide enough for a person to crawl through, but too perfect to be natural." I told him to send a photo. When I got it, my stomach dropped. It looked like a split, a crack running in a near-perfect line across the earth. But it didn't curve or break like roots or water damage. It ran straight, like someone digging sideways, from below. And there was something else. Indentations, tiny ones, all along the crack, like knuckle prints, like fingers, moving forward, clawing. I didn't know what to say. Chris asked, "You sure this isn't just an old irrigation line or something?" But even in the photo, you could tell this thing didn't belong. It was too fresh. The dirt was darker, recently disturbed. I thanked him, told him I'd check in later. He hesitated, then said, "You didn't tell me everything, did you?" I paused. "No," I admitted. "I didn't." He sighed. "Well, whatever this is, it feels off." The wind died when we got close. No birds, no bugs, just felt watched. I ended the call. Didn't tell him the worst part. The dot moved again, only a few inches on the screen, but it did it while I was watching. And this time, I saw a second line flicker across the map, like another path forming, from a different direction, like two trails slowly heading toward each other. At 3:14 a.m. tonight, Dale called again. Same line, same static, same breath. But this time, his voice was weaker, like something had been wrung out of him. "You sent someone, didn't you?" he said. I didn't answer. "She's getting faster now." He coughed. I could hear dirt in his throat. "She's dragging me somewhere. It's not a place. It's a memory. I keep seeing my childhood bedroom, but it's all wrong. It's underground, and she's above the ceiling, whispering to my younger self, telling him how to find me." He made this horrible sound, like a sob mixed with a laugh. "She says she wants me to see my own bones." I asked where he was now. He didn't give coordinates this time. Just said, "It's darker now, quieter, like the world's being packed and tighter around me. The line is getting thinner." I asked what that meant. He whispered, "The line between here and out there. Between her and you." I checked the system again. The signal was back. But this time, it wasn't just drifting. It was circling, like something was being pulled in loops underground. A long, slow spiral. I sent an update to Chris. Told him to hold back. Don't go near that crack again. He didn't answer. Not at first. Then, at 3:32 a.m., I got a voicemail. It wasn't from Chris's number. It was from a blocked ID. But the voice on the message, it was his, breathing hard, saying one thing: "I'm under the wrong sky." That's it. Just that. No context. No follow-up. And when I called his phone, it was off. I tried every channel. No one's heard from him since. I told my supervisor everything today. Didn't care if I sounded insane. I walked into his office and said, "There's something alive in the ground." He gave me that blank stare, the kind that says you're either lying or breaking. I gave him the coordinates, the audio, even Dale's call logs. He said they'd escalate it, get regional to look into it. But then he asked for my headset, said it might be contaminated. I told him no. He insisted. I said, "She copies through the sound. She travels through it." He laughed, said I needed sleep. But I've been sleeping. That's the problem. Because when I dream, I hear her too, breathing, in the wall, matching me. Tonight, I opened the live trace feed. It was inactive. Dale's signal was gone. I told myself to let it go. That maybe it finally ended. That maybe the pattern collapsed. But then I heard something through the speakers. It wasn't Dale. It was Chris. Static-filled. Faint. But it was him. "She opened the wrong memory," he said. And then he screamed. Short. Sharp. Cut off mid-breath. Like something bit the air out of him. There are new coordinates on my screen now. Ones I didn't input. Ones that keep changing. Drifting like a signal, trying to find a new home. I clicked to zoom in. And when I did, the red dot landed on me. Right where the dispatch center sits. Right where I'm sitting now. and the line is getting closer, splitting the earth like a zipper, like it's crawling toward the surface, like it's almost here. And if she gets here, if she copies me, she doesn't need to drag anyone underground anymore, because she'll already be out, breathing our air, wearing our names, and no one will remember who the first voice was. Just the echo that came after. I think it's already inside. I keep hearing it when no one else does. The breathing, not over the phone now, but in the headset, on the other side, my side. It started last night. There were no calls on the board. The dispatch floor was quiet, just low fluorescent hum and old coffee smells. I was going over Dale's last tape, trying to catch something I missed. Some clue. I played it through like 10 times. That part where he says, "She's getting faster now," right before the line cuts. But the last time I played it, I heard something new. Right after Dale's voice drops out, there's this sound. Faint, wet, close, like someone exhaling with their mouth just barely open. I took off my headset and still heard it, only louder. The sound wasn't in the recording. It was live. I looked around. The floor was still empty. I checked the boards. No open lines. I slowly lifted my headset again. The breathing was still there. Rhythmic. In, out. But then, it wasn't just one breath. Another started, and then another, layering over each other. Not in sync. Not human. Different sizes. Like some were coming from farther back in a room. Some from events. Some from beneath my chair. Each breath felt different. Heavy, shallow, ragged, slow. It was like being surrounded by lungs that weren't attached to anything living. Just borrowed air. I ripped the headset off and threw it across the desk. It kept going. Soft, overlapping breathing everywhere. I grabbed the emergency override. Cut the audio feed. The breathing stopped. Not faded, stopped. Just like that. Dead silence. I sat there, heart pounding, hands shaking. Then the board lit up. Line 7. Unregistered number. I knew it would be her. But I picked it up anyway. Because I had to know. 911. What's your emergency? I asked. No answer. Just silence. Then, my own voice, playing back through the headset. The same thing I had just said. 911. What's your emergency? But the tone was off. Like it had been slowed down. Like it was melting. Then my voice started repeating itself quietly. A whisper. Emergency. 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 I hung up. Didn't log the call. Didn't tell anyone. I just sat there, staring at the empty board, wondering if the line had ever really disconnected. This morning, I went down to the recording room. We keep a backup server there. All call audio is mirrored twice. Once on the main system, once locally on a physical reel-to-reel archive. Old tech. Outdated. But I needed something physical. Something real. I pulled up the reel for Dale's last 5 calls. Label by hand. White tape, black marker. Except one was different. No label. Just a red X. I played it. The tape spun slow, sticky, like it didn't want to move. There was no dialogue at first. Just static. Then the breathing started again. Not like last night. This was worse. Layered. Dozens of them. Some high and sharp. Some so deep they sounded like growling. But they weren't angry. They were waiting. Like whatever was making them was just crouched there, in the dark, watching the tape spin. Then, behind the breathing, I heard something else. Clicking. Like teeth tapping. One of them. Or maybe all of them. Smiling. The sound grew louder. Closer. Then, a word. Low. Distant. Spoken like it was being chewed. Crawl. That's all. Just that one word. And then all the breathing stopped. Like it had all inhaled at the same time. Holding it in. Waiting to breathe out somewhere else. I ejected the tape and snapped it in half. Didn't even think about it. Just crushed it in my hands and left. I know it doesn't matter. I know it's not just in the tape. It's here now. And it's getting closer. I got home this evening and found the floor cold. Like fridge cold. But just one spot. Right by the crawl space access panel. The panel was open. I never opened it. Never had a reason to. But it was unlatched. Slightly ajar. Just enough space to whisper through. I stood there for a long time. Didn't say anything. Didn't move. Then I crouched down and looked inside. It was pitch black. But I heard it. Not breathing this time. Shuffling. Slow. Dry. Like something was dragging itself across loose dirt. I stared and waited. And then I saw them. Fingertips. Pale. Thin. Poking out just an inch from the dark. Then sliding back again. Not scared. Just testing. I haven't gone back to work. But I've kept the headset. I listen to it every night now. Not because I want to. Because it's pulling something out of me. Every time I listen, I feel more of myself go quiet. I forget things. My apartment layout. My own middle name. How my brother died. I know he died. I just can't remember how anymore. I think that's what she's doing. Wearing down the things that make me me. So she can crawl in. So she can fill the spaces I forgot. Tonight, the headset clicked on by itself. No power. No feed. Just audio. Breathing again. But this time, they knew my name. One of the voices said it. Clear. Right into my ear. Eli. That's me. No one calls me that anymore. Not since my brother. God, I can't remember. He used to call me that. I think. Then another voice whispered it. And another. Until the whole headset was just this chant. Dozens of versions of my name. Some soft. Some angry. Some crying. Some saying it like they owned it. Like it wasn't mine anymore. I finally went back down to the dispatch floor. Had to see for myself. The night shift girl wasn't at her desk. Just the headset sitting there. No sign of her. Not even her coat. I played back the last 911 call. Just a few minutes long. Caller never spoke. Just breathing. Then, at the very end, her voice. The dispatcher's. But not her normal tone. Flat. Empty. She said, "There's something in the line with me." Then silence. And a recording cut. But not before you could hear it. That final sound. Not breathing. Not shuffling. Slurping. Like something pulling itself through the last few inches of wire. Like it had reached the end of the crawl. I'm sitting at my desk again now. Headset on. Dead board in front of me. But I know a call's coming. I can feel it. Not from outside. From here. Like my own brain is calling me back. I think she's in me now. Or maybe I've always been her. Maybe I was the one in the crawl space. Maybe I whispered to Dale. Maybe I copied myself too many times. And now I don't remember who the original was. But I do remember one thing. The word. The one I heard on the tape. The one I keep hearing now, in my chest, in my bones. Crawl. It's not a command. It's an invitation. To go under. To forget the sun. To join the others. All those voices breathing in the dark. They're not monsters. They're memories. Forgotten people. And she wears them like skin. One breath at a time. The board just lit up. Line 1. No ID. No origin. But the location shows right here. My coordinates. I pick it up. There's no one there. Just my voice. Saying, "There's something in the line with me." And on the floor by the wall, the crawl space panel is open again. This time wider. Enough for something to stand. Or maybe, enough for something to leave. And I don't hear breathing anymore. Because it's not in the headset. It's in the room. Behind me. Waiting for me to turn around. Or maybe, to crawl back and dot. I've been working as a dispatcher for just under 3 months now. Every shift teaches you something. Every night keeps you waiting. For a call, for static, for life to remind you it still moves. That's how I found the box. We were cleaning out storage one evening after someone retired. It was dusty and smelled like old paper and vinyl. I was filing files, mostly paperwork that no one ever looks at, when I noticed a box tucked behind a row of old folders. Not labeled, just a stark white box with "Do Not Review" scrawled in faded ink across the lid. I thought, what's the harm in a peek? I carried it back to my desk. My heart beat a little faster because that label sounded urgent. A warning. Who leaves something like that in plain view? Opening it felt like breathing in a breath you weren't expecting to take. Inside were dusty cassette tapes. I blew off a layer of dirt. Black labels, some handwritten dates, decades old. One said, 911, July 1978. Another, 1983. A third said 1991, and I swear the ink wobbled on the paper like it was unsettled to still exist. I put tape after tape into my hand. The reels inside looked unwound, loose. Black dust clung to my fingers. I left it like that and brought everything to the playback room. Our last analog machine in the basement, saved because you never know. That's when the whispering began. I pressed play on the first tape. Nothing at first. Just hiss and popping. Then a woman's voice edged through the static. pleased, help them. There wasn't a tone of panic. More like she was bored. Or maybe tired. The voice didn't say much else. Then, click, gone. No ID. No location. And these weren't on any call logs. Nobody called. Nobody dispatched. The tape leaked into itself, printed everything, and instead of popping up in our system, it disappeared. Every tape was like that. Same style. A voice, a plea, then silence. No identifier. Not a number, address. Nothing. Some were men. Children. Mothers. Grandfathers. One tape was a child, counting 1, 2, 3, and the tape cut mid-sentence. I played them in order. Spent 3 hours listening to people who never existed, who reached and were never reached back, who might still be waiting somewhere. I tried scanning logs. Nothing. No record of these calls. No missing persons. No trapped voices. Our system, and the local ones, had no trace. I went back to the storage room and rifled through old binders. Accident reports, lost runner memos, broken alarm logs, and near the bottom, a ledger labeled Unofficial Audio Archive. It had blanks listed corresponding to those tape dates, marked not to be logged. Down the hallway, I stared at files from 1978, 1983, 1991, all same dates. Next to the years, only 2 words, typed in red ink, unknown origin. My stomach dropped. Someone had hidden them. Not the fire tape, not the chasing animal tape, not run-of-the-mill calls. These weren't errors. They were buried and marked to stay buried. Back in the playback room, I tried another tape. Man's voice whispering, I hear crawling under the house, then nothing. Swallowing static. A faint echo that sounded like someone repeating the first whisper from behind the wall. I lowered the volume and leaned forward. The next whisper, just under my breath. We're still here. I slammed stop. Hands shook. Darkness had started to creep under my skin. I brought a few tapes back to my desk, held them close to the mic, curious if the reverb would bring anything to life. Instead, I heard my own voice on playback. Hello? I hear you. It wasn't recorded. I didn't record it. And it wasn't me. But it was there, layered, like I was listening to someone copying me through the static. I spent the rest of the night transcribing them all. Didn't sleep. The voices echoed in my head, pleading, waiting. When dawn broke, I approached my supervisor. I showed him the box, the recordings, the ledger where they were marked off limits. He stared at me like I'd brought back memories better left alone. Where'd you get these? In storage, I said. He shook his head. You shouldn't have taken them. That box was meant to stay here. Why? I asked. He couldn't answer. Just told me to put them back. Archive them properly. And not to mention any of this again. But I can't stop hearing them. People calling. Reaching. Alone in the dark. That box wasn't meant for me. But now I own it. So do you. And one day, someone will follow these tapes and hear the same static I did and wonder if someone is still perched, waiting on the other end. Because in every silence, some things never left. The first tape I chose to really study, like slow it down, enhance the audio, transcribe it, was the one labeled 606. No date, just that number. Black ink bleeding into the paper like it didn't want to stay put. I don't know what I expected. Maybe another whisper from decades ago. Maybe something vague, like the others. But what I got didn't belong. I was alone in the recording room when I hit play. It was just after 11 p.m. Graveyard shift. Fluorescent lights humming overhead like bugs were trapped inside them. The tape clicked, hissed, then started. At first it was just static, then a long inhale. Then, hello, the voice whispered. I paused it, thinking maybe someone messed with the recording. The voice didn't sound old. It was clean, modern. No radio hum, no distance. Just raw breath and a whisper like it was being spoken into the same mic I was using. I hit play again. I'm inside. I can see the red light. That was it. Then silence. I rewound it, this time letting it play uninterrupted. Same voice. Same sentence. I'm inside. I can see the red light. The red light. I looked up. There was a red light above the soundboard in the room. It only comes on when recording is active. It was off now, but I got chills anyway. The whisper sounded like it was in the same room. Like someone was standing behind me, watching me look at that light. I hit pause. Took a breath. The tape had a timestamp at the start, embedded in a little blip of tone before the call began. 0:12 and 6 seconds a.m. I looked at the wall clock. 11:06 p.m. Exactly 1 hour in the future. I didn't know if I misread it first. I played it again. Watched the tape tick. The timestamp was part of the audio. Baked in. Someone added it deliberately. It made no sense. I felt sick. The tape was supposedly recorded an hour from now, yet I was playing it right now. The whisper wasn't frantic. Wasn't scared. Just close. Like someone crouched too close to the phone, not knowing if they were being heard. I wanted to stop, but I kept listening. More breathing. Then the voice whispered again. I see you now. Sitting there. I sat up straight. The voice kept going. Don't turn around. My body locked. Every hair on my neck lifted. The whisper was calm. Almost sad. You don't belong here, it said. You never did. I stared at the tape deck. The reels spun slowly, like time itself was being pulled apart. You opened the wrong box. Then the sound cut. Silence. I was still frozen, staring at the machine, listening to nothing. When I looked up again, I swore I saw something in the corner. Like a silhouette tucked behind the file cabinet. Too short for a grown person. Too still for a shadow. I stood and walked to the corner. Nothing. Just the wall. Cold. But then I noticed something else. The red light was on. It blinked softly, recording. I hadn't pressed anything. I looked down at my hands, confused, and stepped back toward the console. Just as I reached for the stop button, the speaker came back on by itself, the voice again. You're already part of it now. Click. I pulled the tape out, almost dropped it. Went back upstairs, fast. Tried to tell myself, I imagined it, that the timestamp was a mistake. Maybe the tape was mislabeled. Maybe the light had been on all along. But then I checked the call logs. I don't know why. Maybe instinct. I searched for 606. It pulled up a single entry. Time, 12:06 a.m. Caller ID, unknown. Duration, 39 seconds. The future. The call hadn't happened yet. And yet, it was already there, waiting to be logged. I couldn't process it. I took the tape and locked it in my locker. Told myself I wouldn't play it again. But I did. Later that night, at exactly 12:05, I wanted to see what would happen. I brought it to the break room, locked the door, sat with my phone recording video, just in case. Just in case something real happened and I could prove it later. I hit play at 12:06. Same voice. Same line. I'm inside. But this time, there was another sound. Breathing. Not from the tape, from outside the room. In the hallway. I paused the tape. The breathing didn't stop. It got closer. Closer. A dragging sound. Like feet sliding across linoleum. I turned off the recorder. Held my breath. The hallway light flickered under the door. Something pressed against it. A long pause. Then a knock. Just once. Then silence. I didn't move for what felt like 5 full minutes. When I finally cracked the door open, the hallway was empty. But right across the floor in faint chalk or dust or something I don't want to know was a number. 606. Drawn right onto the tiles. That's when I realized. The caller hadn't just known where I was. He knew when I was. Like the tape had waited for me to hear it. Like it had known I would. I didn't sleep that day. I pulled old staff records. Looked for references to anything labeled 606. Thought maybe it was a badge number. A case file. I found one thing. A disciplinary report from 1992. A dispatcher named Dale Hawkins. Written up for accessing unauthorized tapes during night shift. The note said he played tape 606 and left the building without clocking out. Has not returned. Believed to have suffered psychological break. No further review permitted. He was never found. Just gone. No record of him quitting. No family filed a report. Just vanished. And right beneath the report, someone had written in pen, almost like a joke. 600 and SIXS, not a number. It's a time stamp. That stuck with me. A time stamp. I looked back at the tape. 12:06 a.m. It wasn't a label. It was the moment someone disappears. The moment something replaces them. I wish I could end the story here. Say I stopped digging. But I didn't. Something about it. It felt like it had eyes. Not just watching, but reading me. The next night, I came in early. Just to watch. At 12:06 a.m. on the dot, I sat in the dispatch room. Eyes on the security monitors. Nothing. For a full minute, just static and parking lot silence. Then, camera 3 glitched. Only for half a second. When it came back, there was a man standing at the far end of the hallway. Still, facing the camera. No ID. No badge. Just a man in dark clothing. No face. He didn't move. Didn't blink. Just existed. I checked the lobby. Nothing on the main cam. But on camera 7, he was suddenly there again. Closer. I felt cold. Like the tape wasn't a message, it was an invitation. Or worse, the promise. That someone would come. That someone had already come, long ago. Caller 606 wasn't just a voice. It was the last thing a place hears before it forgets someone was ever there. I took a personal day the next shift. Tried to throw the tape away. It came back. In my mailbox at work. No label. Just a new note. Red lights still on. I don't know how this ends. I don't know if the other tapes are the same. But I know this. Someone called a long time ago, and we didn't answer. Now they're calling back. And this time, they know who's listening. I wasn't going to keep digging. Not after what happened with tape 606. I told myself I'd just put the rest back in the box. Log the tapes like a good rookie and move on. Let the past stay where it was. But then I saw it. At the very bottom of the box. No label. No number. Just a strip of black tape over the reel, as if someone wanted it to be missed. Black tape 3. That's what was scribbled on a yellowing, sticky note. The writing looked rushed, like it had been stuck on in a panic. The corners were curling up, like even the adhesive didn't want to touch it. I should have left it alone. But of course I didn't. I waited until just after midnight. Same time every weird thing in this place seems to start. The dispatch room was quiet. Everyone else was either asleep or pretending to be. I slid the tape into the player. Reached for the play button. Paused. There was this tight feeling in my chest. Like something knew I was about to listen. Like something wanted me to. I hit play. Right away, the audio was wrong. It didn't sound like a regular call. It was chaos. Screams, but distant. Like they were coming through layers of static. Voices overlapping, yelling, some of them crying. Some begging. Then a word cut through it all. Fire. Someone screamed it so loud it distorted the speaker. Help us. We're trapped inside. The panic in their voice was raw. Real. I felt my stomach knot. The static surged again. And then another voice. A man this time. But his words didn't line up with the chaos. They were too calm. Like he wasn't inside the fire. Like he was watching it. They don't know yet, he whispered. But the ceiling's gonna fall in 3 minutes. Then it cut to a woman screaming again. The exit's blocked. Please, please someone help. Then silence. The tape just stopped. No click. No rewind. No intone. Just a dead stop. Like it had given up. I stared at the tape deck for a while, waiting for something else. Nothing. I rewound it. Played it again. Same thing. Screaming. Fire. The calm whisper. Silence. But then I noticed something strange. The voices mentioned things, specific details. The woman screamed about being trapped behind the front counter. The man said, the old wood beams are going to give soon. And someone else, barely audible, mentioned kitchen grease catching fast. It was too specific. I scribbled it all down. Every word. Every clue. Then I looked at the tape label again. Still blank. Just that old sticky note. I had this sinking feeling. So I did what I always seem to do now. I checked the dispatch log. I searched fire. There was nothing recent. But I filtered forward. Looked ahead a few days. And there it was. Scheduled fire drill. August 14th. Location. Station Cafe. Maple Street. Time. 3 p.m. My blood went cold. The cafe wasn't far. The kitchen was all wood-paneled. Old structure. Grease buildup was always a problem there. I'd eaten there last month. I remembered the layout. The front counter. The narrow exits. It all matched. But this wasn't a fire report. It was just a drill. Scheduled by the fire department as a routine thing. I played the tape again. Blocked at the front counter. Ceilings coming down. It wasn't a warning. It was a recording of something that hadn't happened yet. I went to my supervisor. Told her I found a strange tape and thought it might be some kind of training material. She brushed it off. Probably an old reenactment, she said. I told her the place in the tape sounded like Station Cafe. She paused for a second. just long enough to make me wonder if she knew more than she was letting on. Then she waved me off. Focus on the live lines. Don't dig into storage junk. But she didn't ask for the tape. Didn't even look at it. Like she already knew. Like she didn't want it in her hands. I couldn't sleep that week. Every night, I played the tape again. Every time, the voices felt a little closer. The screams more raw. And the man's whisper, it started to change. By the fifth listen, he said something I swear wasn't on there before. They won't believe you. Then the tape hissed. And ended again. That's when I started seeing things. On the monitors during night shift. Flickers of light where there shouldn't be. A glow, faint and orange, just outside the camera view. Like firelight dancing in a hallway that didn't exist. One night, I blinked and saw soot marks on the inside of the monitor screen. When I leaned closer, they vanished. I started smelling smoke at random. Burnt wood, melted plastic. Even when I was alone, far from the kitchen, I kept telling myself it was in my head. Until the fire actually happened. Exactly 1 week later, August 14th, Station Cafe caught fire at 3:06 p.m. Gas line rupture. Caught on the grease. The fire department had just finished their drill and were packing up their gear when it happened. They were able to get most people out, but 2 workers didn't make it. Both were behind the front counter. They never had a chance. The ceiling caved in on them. Just like the tape said. I didn't talk for hours after I heard. I just sat there, staring at the tape. It had predicted the fire. Not warned it. Not speculated. It had recorded it. A week before it happened. And then I remembered something the whispering man said. They don't know yet. Not they won't survive. Not they're in danger. They don't know yet. Like he'd already seen it. Like it had already happened for him. Like time was a loop, and we were just catching up. I tried destroying the tape. Smashed the reel. Burned this sticky note. The next night, it was back. On my desk. No label. But this time, something new was scribbled into the corner of the tape with a needle or pin or something sharp. Just one word. Next. I don't know who made these. I don't think they're from the past. I think they're from somewhere else. Somewhere that watches us. Rewinds us. Records what we're too late to stop. These aren't warnings. They're archives. And we're just waiting to catch up to them that I didn't go near the box for days after the fire. Every time I passed the storage closet, I felt it, like heat off a stove that hadn't been used. Something still lingering. But the box was always there. Still tucked under the lowest shelf, untouched. Except, I knew it wasn't untouched. Because one morning when I came in, it was waiting for me on my desk. Right in the center. No note. No explanation. Just sitting there like it had walked there itself. And on top of the pile inside, a new tape. This one wasn't blank. It had a label. Small, square, pale yellow. Written in tiny black letters. Do not pick up. I stared at it for an hour. Didn't move. Didn't breathe right. Just sat with this weight in my chest like I was being watched. No one else saw it. No one asked. I should have reported it. But after the fire, the whispers, the monitor flickers. I knew better. No one was going to believe me. And maybe that's what this thing wanted. So, I waited until night shift again. Put the tape into the deck. Press play. It started normal. Familiar. The dispatcher greeting, the beeps, the click of a line connecting. But then my stomach turned. Because the voice that answered was mine. County Emergency Services. What's your location? It was my voice. My rhythm. My breath. But I'd never said those words on a tape before. I'd never recorded that call. Then came a pause. And a reply, garbled, staticky. It didn't sound like a person. It was low and glitchy, almost robotic. But human enough to make my skin crawl. It said, "You picked up." Then silence. Then my voice again. "Hello? Can you repeat that?" And then something else. The sound of me breathing. But I wasn't breathing. Not like that. I felt my throat close. My hand trembled over the stop button. The voice whispered again. "You weren't supposed to." I yanked the tape out. Didn't even rewind it. I just sat back, my hands shaking. I knew that wasn't just a mistake. It wasn't a training reel or an audio glitch. That was me. But from when? It sounded fresh. Like my current voice. Like it could have been recorded yesterday. I pulled out the call logs. Scanned every line. Every number. Every weird hang-up or static call. Nothing matched. No timestamp. No records. That's when it hit me. This wasn't from the past. And it wasn't a future emergency either, like the fire. This tape, it was something else. It was watching me. I tried to sleep that night, but the dreams were worse. I saw myself in the dispatch room, staring at the wall of blinking lights. Except none of the calls were real. They just blinked, faster and faster. And in the dream, I kept answering them. Every time I picked up, the line whispered, "Don't." The next day, I couldn't help it. I played the tape again. I had to know if I imagined it. But this time it was longer. New audio. Same opening. My voice answering. Then the same whisper. "You picked up." But after that, something new. The line crackled. Then I heard movement, like chairs sliding, heavy steps, and my voice, again but quieter this time, like I was farther away. I said, "I didn't answer this one." Then the whisper came again, colder this time. "You always do." I slammed the stop button. Heart pounding. That wasn't just a recording. It was a conversation. With me. One I didn't remember having. Like another version of me had picked up a call I never answered. Or maybe a call I hadn't gotten yet. That night, I kept staring at the phone, dreading the next ring. It came during my solo shift. 3:47 a.m. A single light on the board blinked once. Then stopped. Didn't ring. Didn't repeat. Just blinked. I stared at it. Then, without thinking, I reached for the headset. But before I could touch it, my own voice came through. Not from the headset. Not from the tape deck. From the intercom above. "Don't answer next time." I froze. The headset was still in my hand. The light stopped blinking. And then I noticed something horrifying. The tape deck had ejected the last tape. On its own. And underneath it, another one had been placed. I didn't put it there. No one came in. But there it was. A new tape. This one had no label. Just scratched into the plastic casing in thin, shaky lines. "Stop listening." I didn't play it. Not that night. Not the next. But the sound wouldn't leave me. I kept hearing myself in places I wasn't. In the bathroom mirror. In the hallway. Once, in my own apartment, the voicemail notification went off. And when I checked it, it was just me, whispering, "Don't pick up." I asked around quietly. Spoke to a few of the older dispatchers. One guy, Rick, hesitated when I mentioned unlabeled tapes. He looked away, like he'd been waiting for someone to bring it up. Said, "You ever answer a line that wasn't blinking?" I nodded slowly. He didn't say much after that. Just patted my shoulder and said, "If it rings once, let it go." Then he walked off and transferred stations a week later. I don't know what these tapes are. I don't know if they're recordings or warnings or traps. But I know they're not dead. They change. They wait. They learn. Each one I listen to, it's like they know more about me. They speak clearer. They answer questions I never asked out loud. One night, I left a recorder running in the dispatch room, just to see what might come through. Next morning, I played it back. 3 hours of silence. Then, the last 20 seconds. My voice. Again. But this time, it was terrified, breathing heavy. And then I whispered, "You picked up anyway." Then a long pause. And then the real voice came. That whispering, glitchy one I can't forget. And it said, "We warned you. I can't work here much longer." I see my reflection answer phones when I don't. I hear my voice on tapes I never recorded. There are more tapes in the box now. Ones I never put there. And the worst part? Some nights when a call comes in, I don't remember what I said. I black out. Just a voice on autopilot. And later, when I check the recordings, I find myself saying the same thing. "County Emergency Services. What's your location?" Only to hear the reply, "You're already here." I don't know if these calls are from the future, from a different version of me, or from somewhere that watches time differently. But if you're ever in a dispatch room, and the light blinks once, and your own voice whispers anything, don't pick up. Whatever's on the other end. It already knows you. When I first picked up the call, I thought it was a prank. It was 1:12 a.m., dead quiet, nothing but the soft hum of the monitors in the dispatch room. Then the line clicked open, and a woman's voice came through, low and shaky. There's a boy under my daughter's bed," she said. "Not my boy. Not our boy. A boy." I sat up straighter. "Ma'am, is your family safe? Is this child someone you know?" There was a pause, and I heard her move the phone slightly, like she was checking over her shoulder. Then she whispered, "No." I don't know who he is. He just showed up. She lived in a small town outside of mine. I remember glancing at the address as it loaded onto my screen. Chestnut Lane, third house from the corner. Safe area. Good schools. Family homes. Not the kind of place where strange boys crawl under your kid's bed in the middle of the night. I asked her to stay calm. Told her officers were on the way. Then I asked, is the boy saying anything? Is he hurt? Her voice came back quieter. Uneven. He only said one thing. What's that? Don't tell them I'm here. Something about that sentence stuck to my ribs. I hear a lot of things working this job. Screams, crying, static. But that was something different. I asked her again. He said, don't tell who. She didn't answer right away. I thought maybe the line cut out. But then she whispered, I think he meant you. The police arrived 7 minutes later. The mother was waiting outside with her daughter. Both shaken. The girl was 6. Clutching a stuffed bunny. Said the boy smiled at her before crawling under the bed. Told her to be quiet. Officers went inside. Searched every room. No sign of him. Windows locked. Front door still bolted. No footprints. No child. They checked under the bed, of course. Nothing. Not even a smudge. Just carpet. The girl insisted he was there. Said he didn't crawl out, didn't run. Just vanished. Usually, that's where the story would end. Another weird call. A scared kid. An overactive imagination. Case closed. But 2 nights later, I got another call. Different town. Different house. Different family. Same story. This time, it was a dad. He called around 2:30 a.m., breathing hard like he'd just run down a hallway. Said his son was crying. Said there was a boy under his bed whispering to him. Same message. Don't tell them I'm here. My fingers went cold. I asked him what the boy looked like. He said, I didn't see him. My son wouldn't let me near. He kept yelling that I'd scare him away. Officers went out. Same results. No boy. No sign of entry. Just a terrified kid who swore there was someone hiding under the bed, whispering not to tell. It wasn't long before I started tracking the calls. I made a private folder, labeled it Stray Boy. It grew fast, for calls in a week. Then 6, then 10, each one the same. A boy, under the bed. No one knows him. No one sees him leave. And he only ever says one thing. Don't tell them I'm here. I started noticing patterns. It was always a child who saw him first. Always after 1 a.m. Always boys between the ages of 6 and 11. Parents never saw him. Sometimes they heard movement. A cough. A laugh. Once, a boy's father swore he heard breathing. Said it was slow. Rhythmic. Too deep for a kid. But by the time they checked, he was always gone. I began to wonder if it was the same boy every time. I mean, it had to be, right? The kids all described him the same way. Thin. Pale. Dark hair. No shoes. Eyes too big for his face. And always whispering. Then one night, I got a call that made my skin crawl. It was from a grandmother this time. She was babysitting her 2 grandsons. Said the youngest came running out of the bedroom, shaking, pointing back down the hall. Said, he's under Jordan's bed. I asked if she saw anyone. She said no. But Jordan won't talk. I stayed on the line with her until officers arrived. They found Jordan sitting on the bed, staring at the floor. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. When they asked if there had been someone under the bed, he nodded, and then said, he told me a secret. No one could get the boy to explain. He just kept repeating it. He told me a secret, over and over. Eventually, they took him in for observation. But before they left, one of the officers peeked under the bed. And there, taped to the underside of the frame, was a small scrap of paper, in red crayon. 4 words, don't tell them anything. That was the first physical clue we ever got. And it shook me up bad, because it meant this wasn't just in their heads. Something was crawling under those beds. Something that knew how to hide. After that, things changed. We started getting fewer calls. But the ones that came in were worse. More frantic. More disturbing. One girl said the boy scratched her when she tried to leave the room. Another said he sat cross-legged under the bed and hummed to her until she fell asleep. A third claimed she saw him crawl out, touch her doorknob, then vanish into the hallway wall. I started dreaming about him. I'd see my childhood bedroom, my old bed, and something shifting beneath it, pressing up against the mattress. And in the dream, I'd kneel down, lift the sheet, and see him. Those eyes, black and wide and wrong. And he'd smile and whisper, "Don't tell them I'm here." I asked a local officer I trusted to pull archive call audio for me. I needed to hear it for myself. One recording, dated back almost a year before the first call I logged, caught me off guard. It was a woman sobbing, her voice blurred by static. Said her son had gone missing. Not from outside, not from school, from his own bedroom. She checked on him before bed, fine. Woke up, he was gone. No forced entry, no broken window, just an open closet door. The strange part? She said he'd been scared lately. Kept asking if he could sleep in her bed. Said the boy under his bed was whispering again. I froze when I heard that. Because that boy's name? Jordan. The same Jordan from the grandmother's call. The one who said the boy told him a secret. I don't think this is a prank anymore. And I don't think it's a ghost, either. Ghosts don't move between houses like this. They don't talk to new kids every week. They don't crawl into your life and leave notes in crayon. Whatever this is, it's not stuck. It's not haunting. It's hunting. And it hides where children are most afraid to look. The worst part? Last night, I got home late. Apartment dark. Quiet. I dropped my keys, took off my shoes, walked toward the bedroom. And there, on the floor just outside the doorway, was a single red crayon, rolled slightly toward me, like it had been dropped or placed. I stood there for a full minute, listening, not daring to go in. And from the darkness, I thought I heard it. A soft voice, just barely a whisper. "Don't tell them I'm here." The first time I heard him mimic a voice, I didn't even realize it. It was a quiet shift, just past 3 a.m. I had my headset on, sipping cold coffee, half awake. The line lit up. I answered like I always do. Calm, professional. But the voice on the other end wasn't calling for help. It just said, in a voice almost identical to mine, "Don't answer next time." And then the line went dead. I stared at the screen. No location, no trace. Just a blank return line and a timer stuck at 0:03. I thought maybe it was a glitch, or a prank, or maybe I was just too tired and imagining things. But it didn't feel like a prank. There was something off about the way it sounded. Like it almost had my voice, but not quite. Like someone trying to speak through a throat not made for human words. I shook it off, logged it as a drop call. But the next night, the Rayall calls came flooding in again. And this time, the boy wasn't just hiding. He was copying. The first call came from a woman named Claire. 2:41 a.m. Her voice was tense, clipped, like she was holding back panic. She said, "Something's wrong with my son." I asked if he was injured. She said no. He's just standing there, at the foot of the bed, staring underneath it. I felt the back of my neck tighten. I asked how long he'd been like that. She paused, then said, "Almost an hour." I told her to approach carefully. Ask him if he's okay. She whispered, "I already tried." I said, "What did he say?" There was another pause. And then she said, very quietly, "He didn't say anything, but someone else did." She said when she called out to him. A voice came from under the bed. Sounded just like her husband. Only, her husband wasn't home. He was on a night shift at the plant. The voice under the bed said, "It's okay, honey. He's just sleepwalking. Let him be." She froze. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. Because it was her husband's voice. His exact tone. Exact words he'd used 100 times. But it wasn't him. Officers arrived 12 minutes later. They found the boy still standing there. Still staring under the bed. He didn't respond to their voices. Didn't blink. They had to physically lift him away. And when they checked underneath, empty. Of course. The next call came the same night. Different state. Mother of 3. Said her youngest, Emma, woke up screaming. Ran into her room, shaking, saying daddy's under the bed. The problem? Her dad died 3 years ago. Cancer. She asked what she meant, but the girl just kept crying and repeating it. "He's under the bed. He's under the bed. He said he missed me." The mother went in. Nothing under the bed. No signs of entry. But when she looked in the hallway mirror, she swears she saw a figure crouched behind her, smiling. She turned. No one there. That's when I realized he was changing. He wasn't just hiding anymore. He was learning. And worse, he was practicing. Mimicking. stealing the voices of people these kids trusted, and using them to stay close. One call hit me harder than the rest. It came from a boy, not a parent. A boy named Mason, 9 years old. He called just after 4 a.m., sounded out of breath, like he'd been running. He whispered, "There's someone in my room." I asked if he was safe. He said, "He's under the bed." But he sounds like me. That stopped me cold. What do you mean? He was quiet for a long time, then said, "He keeps saying things I didn't say, but it sounds like my voice." I asked what kinds of things. He replied, "He told my mom I said I wanted her to die." My stomach turned. He went on, said his mom came into the room angry, shaking, said she looked scared, said she thought he'd said it, but he hadn't. And then the voice from under the bed repeated it. "I want you to die, Mommy." Over and over. Same tone, same pitch, like a broken recording. By the time officers arrived, Mason was gone. Window open, curtain fluttering in the breeze. No signs of forced entry. No footprints outside. Just the small indentation under the bed. Like someone had waited there. For hours. That's when I made a decision. I stopped sleeping at home. Started crashing at the dispatch office. Brought a sleeping bag. Told myself it was temporary. But I couldn't shake the feeling that if I lay in bed again, I'd feel breath on the back of my neck. Or hear my own voice whisper from beneath me. It got worse. Not just more calls, but the same voices. Repeating across states, across nights. One woman played a voicemail she got at 3 a.m. It was her sister's voice. Crying. Begging for help. Saying she was trapped under the floorboards. But her sister had been dead for 5 years. Car crash. Instant. The audio was scratchy. Glitchy. But the final words were clear. "Please don't tell them I'm here." Another dispatcher, Jamie, heard the same thing. Only it was her own voice calling in. Logged into the system. She swears she never made the call. But the recording is there. Her voice. Same tone. Same cadence. Answering a call from a number that doesn't exist. And halfway through the conversation, her voice changes. Just slightly. Enough to make your skin crawl. And it whispers, "He's learning. Don't pick up next time." I started going through old calls again. Searching for anything, any clue. And that's when I found the one that broke me. A call from 10 months ago. The name on the screen stopped me cold. My niece, Maddie. She would have been 8. She died last winter. House fire. At least, that's what we thought. But this call? It was her voice. Calling 911. Saying someone was in her room. Saying he was copying her. Saying he sounded just like her. The call cuts out halfway through. No follow-up report. No officer dispatch. Nothing. Just silence. And now, I don't know if it was a fire. I don't know if she ever left that room. Or if something else took her place. Wearing her voice like a mask. I don't think this thing is a ghost. I think it's something worse. Something older. It doesn't want attention. It doesn't want to be seen. It wants to be trusted. To sound like someone you love. To wear their tone. Their laugh. To lie in the shadows and watch. And then, when it knows you, when it's practiced your voice just right, it starts using it. To hurt others. To hurt you. Last night, I was alone in the dispatch room again. Everyone had gone home. I was scrolling through the tapes, trying to listen to patterns in the mimicked voices. And I played one recording labeled simply unidentified. It sounded like me, laughing, softly, and then whispering, "They still think I'm you." I slammed the laptop shut. My reflection in the screen lingered too long. Just half a second too long. And it smiled before I did. I stopped asking myself what was real 2 weeks ago. Because reality started shifting too fast for me to keep up. One night, I'm a dispatcher answering 911 calls from across a few counties. Next, I'm a thread in something much larger. Something older. I don't know what it is. But it always starts the same way. With a child's whisper. And then it spreads. Room by room. Voice by voice. It began again on a Thursday. Quiet for hours, then a call from a woman in rural Ohio. She said, "There's a child in my daughter's closet." Her voice was shaky, but not panicked. Not yet. She kept saying, "He's not ours. I don't know where he came from." I asked her to describe the child. She hesitated, like she didn't want to, then said, "He's small, pale, maybe 5, wearing a red sweater with a bird on it. Looks like a robin. He just keeps whispering. What's he whispering? I asked. She took a breath and said, he keeps saying, this room is mine now. A few hours later, I got a call from a man in Indiana. Different house, different state, same description, red sweater, pale skin, same bird on the front, same whisper. This room is mine now. I didn't think much of it until the third call, and the fourth, then the fifth, all within 24 hours. Different names, different towns, but everyone described the exact same child, even down to the shoes, small white sneakers with the laces tucked in. Every caller mentioned the same odd detail. The child never blinked. He just stared and whispered. I tried pulling up missing person reports. Nothing matched. No kids with that description. No recent kidnappings. At least none reported. But that sweater, the red one with the robin, it showed up in all the call logs. Even some old ones. From years ago. I dug back 10 years into the system. And there it was again. A report from 2014. A woman in a trailer park called in crying. Said her toddler wouldn't stop screaming. When the dispatcher asked why, the woman said, he says a boy in a red shirt keeps crawling out of the vent. Same bird logo. Same whisper. Same empty room when police arrived. It's like he's always been there. Not growing. Not aging. Just appearing. Again and again. In different homes. Different lives. Same face. Same voice. A call came in from a teenage girl. Said she'd seen the boy in her bathroom. Sitting on the floor, cross-legged. She thought he was a neighbor's kid at first. Until he looked up at her. And whispered, I remember you. She didn't recognize him. Didn't even know how he got in. But she swore. He said it in her voice. Not a kid's voice. Her exact tone, pitch, like a recording of herself played back through someone else's mouth. That was the first time I felt sick hearing a voice through the headset. Not scared. Just wrong. Like the air had been pulled out of the room. And something else had taken its place. I started writing it all down. Every time someone described him. I pinned a map on the wall behind my desk. Colored pins where he appeared. At first, it was random. Then a pattern. A slow spiral. Inward. Another night, another call. A single father. Sounded half drunk. Said he heard crying in his son's room. Went in to check. Found the boy curled under the covers, shaking. When he asked what was wrong, his son pointed to the closet. Said, he won't stop talking. The father looked. Saw nothing. But then the whisper came. From under the bed. You're not my dad. And then, again, in the father's own voice. You're not my dad. I asked the man if he had any other kids. He said no. Just the one. I asked if he recognized the child. He paused. Said something I'll never forget. He looked like my son, but like a drawing of him. Something was missing. What do you mean? I asked. He said his face didn't move right. Like he was remembering how to smile from a photo. At that point, I started to wonder, what if this child wasn't a ghost? What if he was more like a shadow? One that learns you. Learns the shape of your home, the tone of your voice, the rhythm of your breath while you sleep, and then becomes a version of you, just slightly off. Enough to disturb, but not enough to notice at first glance. Another call came from an older woman in her 70s. Said she lived alone. No kids. No visitors. She said she'd been hearing small footsteps in the attic. Night after night. But when she finally went up with a flashlight, the hatch slammed shut behind her. And from below, she heard a small voice say, You lived long enough. She screamed until her neighbors called it in. When help arrived, she was sitting in the attic corner, shaking, muttering over and over. He's in the walls. He's already in every room. I don't sleep anymore. I listen to the calls, to the quiet, to the creaks in the walls that weren't there yesterday. A man from Kansas called last night. He whispered into the phone. Said the child had been in his house for days. Said his wife started hearing their daughter talk to someone through the vent in her room. But their daughter was nonverbal, born without the ability to speak. And yet, they'd hear her voice in the hallway, repeating the same line over and over. Let me in. I'm your daughter. The wife finally opened the vent. Saw two small hands reach out, grabbing the sides, pulling something forward. She screamed. The girl didn't move, didn't even look up. The hands disappeared, and the vent was empty. I don't know what he is, but I know how he moves. From room to room, from family to family. taking the shape of something familiar. A lost child. A memory. A voice you once trusted. He doesn't need a door. He doesn't need permission. He just arrives, sits quietly, stares, whispers, and claims the room. Every report says the same thing. He doesn't walk in. He's already there. And when you finally see him, it's too late, because by then, he already knows your voice, your habits, your fears. He already knows how to become you. I called my sister last night, asked how her kids were doing. She laughed, said they were fine, said her youngest, Mia, started talking to an imaginary friend. I asked what they talked about. She said, Mia says he lives in the hallway. She calls him the quiet boy. I felt my stomach drop. I asked what he looks like. She said, oh, she says he wears a red sweater. Cute, right? I hung up. Didn't say goodbye. Just sat there, staring at the wall. And for the first time in weeks, I cried. Because I knew he had entered their home now. Every room he enters, he never leaves. He just waits until someone new comes in. Then he whispers, this room is mine now. I've worked dispatch for 6 years now. 6 years of voices in the dark. Screams, accidents, gunshots, people begging for help seconds before it's too late. But nothing prepared me for this. For the boy, for the whispers, for the truth behind where he came from. I thought maybe it was in my head. Maybe it was stress or trauma or just the weight of hearing too many cries in the night. But now I know. He's real, and he's everywhere. After the last few calls, the girl who heard him in the closet, the boy under the bed whispering with his father's voice, the child crawling out of vents in houses he shouldn't exist in, I started digging deeper, not into the usual databases, but the archived ones. Old paper reports from before our system went digital. Stuff they boxed up and forgot. I didn't even know we had a storage room until one of the older dispatchers told me. Room 112. That's where they kept the records too strange to throw away, but too wrong to be explained. I went down there with a flashlight. It was freezing. No cameras. Just shelves full of cardboard boxes, rotting paper, and the smell of mildew and rust. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for, but I felt pulled, like the story had a thread leading straight to this room. And it didn't take long to find it. Box 47B. Foster Home Reports. Late 1990s to early 2000s. I opened it, and my blood ran cold. The first report was dated April 9th, 2001. Police were dispatched to a fire on the outskirts of town. An old foster home. For kids. 2 caretakers. Only 1 survivor. A boy. Age 5. No name. Described by first responders as nonverbal, pale, uninjured, and emotionally unresponsive. He was found under a bed, wrapped in a blanket. Eyes wide open, not blinking, just staring. They said he didn't cry, didn't speak, didn't even move when they pulled him out. One officer wrote in the margins, his sweater had a robin on it. I stared at those words for a long time, and I knew it was him. Every single call we've gotten, every description of the child, it all pointed back to this place, to that fire. To room 112. That was the name of the foster home. 112, Evergreen Lane. The same number as the archive room. I don't think that's a coincidence. I kept digging. There were photos. Old Polaroids taken from the scene. Most of them were blurry or charred. But one survived. It showed a hallway. Burned walls. Ash-covered floor. And in the corner, almost hidden, a small child. Red sweater. White sneakers. Face turned toward the wall. The caption read, believed to be the lone survivor. No ID. Placed in temporary care. Missing within 48 hours. Missing. He was never found. Never registered in another system. Never adopted. It was like he disappeared. But now he's back. And he's following people home. I tried to report it. Went to my supervisor. Told him about the connection between the calls and the burned foster home. He just stared at me. Didn't say a word. Then asked me to take the rest of the week off. Said I looked tired. That night, I found a sticky note on my locker. Just 4 words. He knows you now. No name. No handwriting I recognized. Just there, waiting. The next shift, I wasn't supposed to come in. But I did anyway. I had to. Something told me it was all about to end. Like the story had reached its final chapter. At 2:03 a.m., the phone rang. Private number. No ID. Just static. Then a voice. Small. Male. Room 112 is still burning. I couldn't breathe. I asked who was speaking. No answer. Just a low hum. Then, he's behind you now. Click. I spun in my chair. Heart hammering. Neck cold. But no one was there. Just the empty hallway. The vending machine light flickering like always. And yet, the feeling wouldn't leave. Like someone was watching me. From the corner of the room. Or under the desk. I listened to the call again. Slowed it down. Behind a voice. Buried in the static. There were other voices. Children. Dozens of them. All whispering the same thing. Over and over. We never left. I pulled up the old foster home report one last time. There was one line I missed. Handwritten by an officer who never filed another report again. There were no beds left in the house. They all burned. Except one. The boy was under it. Smiling. I think I finally understand. He's not a ghost. Not a spirit. Not even a child. He's a remnant. A piece of whatever was born in that room. That final bed. That burning house. That last moment before everyone else died. He survived. But he didn't come out the same. The whisper spreads. Through vents. Through phones. Through closets and dark hallways. Each voice he mimics becomes a new door. Each room he enters becomes his. Until there's nowhere left to hide. The last thing I heard before I blacked out that night was the faint creak under my desk. And a voice, so close I could feel the breath on my ankle. Whisper, this is my room now. They found me the next morning. Curled in the corner. Desk chair knocked over. Eyes wide open. Unblinking. Muttering over and over. He was behind me. He's behind all of us. I don't work dispatch anymore. They put me on leave. Said I was unstable. That's fine. Let them think I broke. I know the truth. He's still out there. Not on the phone lines anymore. Not on the tapes. He's free now. Room by room. House by house. Face by face. And once he enters, you don't get to leave. Sometimes, I still hear the calls. Even though I'm not on the job. Middle of the night. Phone rings. Unknown number. Same voice. He's behind you now. And now I sleep with the lights on. But not because I'm afraid of the dark. No, I'm afraid of what waits in the quiet. The stillness. The silence between rooms. Where he waits. Smiling. And whispering. You called me. I'm here now. You ever hear your own voice in a way that doesn't feel right? Not on a recording. Not in a video. I mean live. Coming through a phone. But twisted. Wrong. Not just the sound. The words too. Saying things you haven't said. Things you'd never say. That's what happened to me. I was 3 hours into the graveyard shift when it started. 2:42 a.m. Quiet night. Foggy roads. No major accidents. I was half listening to the scanner, sipping cold coffee, scrolling through shift notes. Just waiting for something to come in. Then the red light blinked. Incoming call. Line 3. No caller ID. No location pinged. Just silence on the other end. I said the usual. 911. What's your emergency? There was a pause. Then I heard myself speak. I need help, the voice said. I think someone's trying to take my place. I froze. I thought maybe it was a prank. Somebody using voice AI or a recording. But the voice didn't lag. Didn't glitch. It spoke in real time. With my exact tone. Same breathing pattern. Same cadence. It even cleared its throat the way I do when I'm nervous. I know this sounds insane, the voice said. But I'm you. I'm the real one. My hand started shaking. I didn't know what to say. I looked around the room, hoping someone else had picked up the call too. But it was just me that night. Just me. And whatever the hell was on the other end. I asked it, what's your name? It paused. Laughed, just a little. You know my name. You've said it your whole life. Now, I've handled some weird stuff. Calls where people swear someone's living in their attic. Voices whispering through vents. Even a woman who claimed her reflection was watching her sleep. But this was different. This wasn't fear of the unknown, kind of scary. It was personal, like someone had climbed inside my skin. Started speaking through me. I asked again, more firmly. What is your name? There was a pause. Then the voice said, I already told you. I'm you, the real you. And you're not supposed to be here. I don't know why, but that hit me hard. Like something shifted. Like the room got smaller. My headset felt too tight. The air too still. I looked at the screen. The call timer kept ticking, but there was still no location. No signal bounce. It was as if the call came from nowhere. Or worse, from inside. I don't understand, I said. You're saying you're me? From when? Where? The voice sighed, and then said something I still can't explain. You remember the dream? It said. The one where you're trapped in your childhood house. All the doors are locked, but you hear the phone ringing downstairs. My mouth went dry, because I do remember that dream. I've had it since I was a kid, and I've never told anyone about it. You wake up, the voice went on, but you don't feel like you woke up all the way. Because you didn't. You left something behind. What did I leave behind? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The line crackled. Then it said, me. Something shifted inside me, like I wasn't alone in my own mind anymore. I stood up, paced, tried to calm down. The rational part of me, the dispatcher, kept whispering it was a prank, just someone good with tech. But the way the voice spoke, it wasn't mocking. It wasn't messing with me. It was sad, tired, like it had been waiting a long time to be heard. I've been stuck here, it said, in echoes, in lines, in every moment you forget who you are. I asked, what do you want? The voice was quiet for a long time. Then it said, I want my life back. The call cut off. No click, no beep, just gone. I stared at the screen. Nothing logged. No call trace. No audio file. It was like it never happened. Except I remembered. And now, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I went home after my shift. Didn't sleep. Just kept playing the call in my head. The voice. The details. That dream. That dream. I had it again that night. Woke up in a sweat at 3:11 a.m. Room freezing. Phone ringing in the dark. Except it wasn't my cell. It was the old landline we used to have when I was a kid. The one in the hallway outside my bedroom. The one that hasn't existed for 20 years. I got up, walked to the hallway, and there it was. That mustard yellow phone. Coiled cord dangling. Ringing. I picked it up, held it to my ear, and heard my own voice say, wake up. He's in your bed now. I screamed. Actually screamed. Fell backwards and knocked over a lamp. Woke myself up again. This time, really awake. But when I looked down at the floor, there was the old phone cord, curled in a knot, right next to my bed. I called in sick the next day. Told them I had the flu. But I wasn't sick. I was scared. Not of the voice. Not exactly. I was scared of what it meant. Because if someone can reach into your head, into your past, into the deepest corners of what makes you you, and then use your voice to tell you you're the fake one, what does that make you? I thought maybe I could let it go. Move on. But the next night, I went back to work. Another quiet shift. Until 2:42 a.m. Line 3 lit up. Same thing. No ID. No trace. I picked up. But before I could speak, the voice said, you're in my seat. I couldn't breathe. I turned around in my chair. Nothing there. Just me. But I could feel it. The same pressure in the air. Like something was watching. Or waiting. The voice kept going. You took over, didn't you? You forgot me. Left me in that house. In that bed. In that echo. You don't deserve this life. I don't remember hanging up. I think the call ended on its own. But I remember sitting there in silence, staring at the reflection in the monitor screen, and not recognizing the face looking back. That was 3 nights ago. Since then, the calls haven't stopped. Different times, different lines, but always the same voice. My voice, asking me, who are you really? Why did you leave me there? And the worst part? I think I know what he means. There's this memory, buried deep. I can't quite reach it, of being a kid, lying in bed, looking at the closet door, hearing something breathing, wanting to call out for help, but not being able to move, like something was holding me down. I think maybe I did leave part of myself behind, and now it wants back in. I've started avoiding mirrors. Haven't answered my own phone in 2 days. And sometimes, when I speak, the words don't sound like mine anymore. Like someone else is borrowing my voice. Even now, as I say this aloud, I'm not sure it's me speaking that I should have known something was wrong when I tried to log in the next shift. It was 2:01 a.m., still dark outside the dispatch office. I slid my swipe card, typed my user ID, same one I always use. but the system blinked red. Denied. I stared at the screen, convinced it was a glitch. Restarted the terminal. It booted up. I typed it again. Denied. I called the tech guy downstairs. Can you check the logs? I asked, voice shaking. He sniffed. Your account's active. You're already logged in somewhere else. My heart pounded. That's impossible. Username conflict. Contact supervisor if it persists. I moved to the supervisor's office. That small window separating us felt bigger all of a sudden. I knocked. He didn't look up. There's a problem, I said. He sighed, didn't say anything about the phone call from earlier. Did I even mention it to him? I'm not sure anymore. I can't log in. It says someone's already using my ID. He leaned back, cleaned sweat beads off his forehead with an index finger. Then, without looking at me, he said, try again in 5. I went back, stared at the screen. Tried again. Denied. Red. Again and again. Then I noticed something next to my profile photo in the corner of the UI. A face. It wasn't mine, but it was wearing my uniform. I called it as I saw it. My heart caught on something broken. Supervisor. I said into the phone, voice low. My ID has a different photo now. He paused, then came over. Quiet. Looked at the screen. He swallowed. What is that? He didn't say more. Just slipped a thumbprint onto the reader, locked me out again. My supervisor turned away. Eyes hard. He said, you need a break. I didn't argue. I just stood there, feeling the office grow colder between us. I swiped my bag together, grabbed my things, and left. But as I passed the bank of monitors, I saw the image again. That face. Watching. At home, insomnia hit like a wave. I lay there, wide awake, trying to remember what I looked like older. In the call center photo. The first ID photo. But all I could remember was that. I looked scared. Returning to work the next night didn't help. My credentials still denied. And the photo? Still not mine. Someone, or something, had taken my identity. Taken me. It came in the form of a whisper. I heard my voice again before the shift started. Right before 2 a.m., in the empty dispatch room. My own voice coming from every speaker. You're not the real one, are you? I leaped, heart in my throat. Scrambled to unplug everything. But that voice didn't end. It came from the phone lines, from the wall intercom, from the screen's hum. He's already here. I finally got access again. My card worked, face returned, ID photo legitimate again. The override cleared, but nothing felt right. I dug through the logs. Called IT. Searched for unauthorized overrides. Nothing. No history of changes. No fingerprints. No timestamp for someone else logging in earlier. Except maybe when I cut off the power at home that night. It was around the same minute. The whispers didn't stop. Sometimes I catch fragments from other dispatchers on different lines. I hear echoes of me asking, what's your location? Or, help is on the way, even when I'm not logged in. Last night, I tuned into the scanner just as I left. It crackled to life. And there, faint through the static, came my voice again. Soft. Good job, you held my place. I think I've slipped into something I can't climb out of. There's a man, or whatever this is, using my life. Wearing me. Speaking through me. I feel him slip into my head during shifts. Answering. Typing. Saving lives. But, is it me? Or is it him? And when he calls himself the real one, I'm starting to believe him. On time off, I peeked at HR's backup roster. Found my assignment image and peephole photo stored there. Under my ID number. The face is mine. But under the Overrides tab, it lists a second login. Unknown male 68. No name. No photo. But a timestamp matching that first denied login. Anything helps, but it feels like nothing will stop this from happening again. Because I don't think I'm being impersonated. I think I'm being replaced. Tonight, I'm back at my desk, badge visible, monitors glowing. A new 911 line just popped up in the UI. Caller ID. Me. I didn't answer. The boards now show a second dispatcher. ID me. Logged in. In the photo, I'm smiling. But the eyes? The eyes are empty. That I didn't find out until after my shift. The security guy, Mike, he's not the type to joke. Bald, stiff, always smells like printer toner. When he called me down to review footage, I thought it had to be about a break-in or something. I wasn't ready for what he showed me. We were sitting in the tiny surveillance room, monitors buzzing, the air thick with stale coffee and dust. He didn't say much, just rewound the timestamp to 3:11 a.m. and hit play. It was me, sitting at dispatch 4, but also me, standing right behind. One of us was seated, talking into the mic, calm and steady, like normal. The other was motionless, looming just over the seated one's shoulder, mouth moving in perfect sync, like it was copying. Same shirt, same posture, same face. Mike looked at me and said, "You were logged in the whole time." Alone. I just stared at the screen. The one at the mic blinked, moved, shifted weight. The one behind didn't blink, didn't move, except for the lips. It mimicked every word, every syllable, like it already knew what I was going to say. My first thought was maybe it was old footage. Glitch timestamp. Something technical. But then Mike scrubbed back a little earlier, and there I was walking into the dispatch room. Just one of me. And minutes later, two. One in the chair. One behind the chair. Where did he come from? I asked. My voice sounded far away. Finn. Mike just shook his head, slowly. No one came in. No one left. That thing. He just appeared. After that, I started noticing weird things in real time. While I was working, like echoes of my own voice seconds before I spoke. I'd say, 911, what's your emergency? And I'd hear it twice. The same words. Same tone. Just slightly out of sync. The headset would buzz, like there was someone else on the line. Parallel audio. Same cadence. Same inflection. Me, but not me. At first I thought it was just a glitch, like some feedback loop in the system. But then I caught a reflection. The monitor on station 5 has a glossy screen. I don't usually notice it. But that night, when I looked up during a call, I saw myself sitting behind me. Not just a reflection of my face, but a full figure, just behind the chair, watching. I spun around. Nothing. I started keeping a mirror on my desk. One of those cheap drugstore ones you can prop up. Every now and then, during calls, I'd check it. I'd look at myself speaking. Make sure I was the one saying the words. But once, around 2:47 a.m., I saw something in the reflection that made my stomach clench. My lips weren't moving, but the voice was still coming through the headset, through the mic, and in the mirror, behind me, just for a second. My double leaned forward and smiled. I reported the footage, filed a system ticket. Supervisor didn't believe me, said I was sleep-deprived or stress-reactive. He told me to take a wellness day, but I stayed because I needed to know what this was. So the next night, I logged into a backup workstation, a little isolated one in the corner, plugged into the dispatch network, but not connected to the main call queue. Then I set up a test. At 2:59 a.m., I turned on voice recording. I stayed completely silent, didn't speak, didn't move, just watched the monitor. And at 3 a.m. sharp, a voice came through my mic. "This is Unit Echo, confirming your location." It was me, but I hadn't said anything. The waveform spiked. Recording captured it. Timestamped. My mouth? Still closed. I played it back. Again and again. The voice was calm. Steady. My tone. My rhythm. But there was something wrong about the way it breathed between sentences. Too even. Too slow. Like it didn't need to breathe at all. Later that week, one of the night janitors, Luis, approached me. Said something strange had happened the night before. "I waved at you," he said, frowning. "But you didn't wave back." I blinked. "When?" "Last night. Around 4. You were standing outside dispatch room 2. Lights off. Just standing there. I didn't work the night before. I wasn't even in the building. I pulled more security footage. Every hour from midnight to 5. At 4:03 a.m., sure enough, there I was. Standing in the dark. Outside dispatch room 2. No badge. No flashlight. No clipboard. Just my hands by my sides. And in the camera's feed, he didn't blink. Not once. What scares me most now isn't the footage. It's the silence. The gaps in my memory. Sometimes I'll check the call logs and see conversations I don't remember having. Transcripts with my operator ID. Log at hours I swear I wasn't at the desk. Calls to addresses that don't exist. Or worse, calls from numbers that no longer exist. The transcripts are always clean. Professional. Robotic. But if you read close, there's no emotion, no empathy, no real listening. Just a voice asking questions. Cold. Flat. Sometimes it ends with a line. I'll be right there. A week ago, a young girl called. Panicked. Crying. I saw two people outside my house, she said. They were the same person. I froze. What do you mean? They had the same face, she sobbed. One smiled and waved. The other just stared. Where are your parents? I asked. She hesitated. They left hours ago, but one of them came back. I thought it was my dad. And her voice got quieter. But then the other one came to the door too. They both looked like him, but one didn't blink. I didn't know what to say. And then she whispered. One of them said he was here to replace me. The line went dead. I checked the recording the next morning. I wasn't the one who took that call. Same voice, same ID, but I wasn't even on shift that night. I played it over and over, trying to hear the difference. And then, just before the girl hangs up, the voice says something I never say. You've been heard. Now hush. I'm starting to wonder if he's not just copying me. Maybe he's learning, perfecting, growing bolder, taking calls when I'm not around, appearing in footage no one recorded, talking to coworkers who don't realize it's not me. What happens when he starts doing more than talking? 2 days ago, I got a package. No return address. Just a single USB stick inside. I plugged it in against better judgment. One file, labeled mic_feed_final. I played it. It was hours of recordings, but not from any real calls. It was just him, talking, saying my name, over and over, practicing, trying different tones, laughing at the wrong parts, and one line that repeats every few minutes. He thinks he's the original. Tonight, I feel watched, not just in the office, but even here in my own house. I keep hearing the soft static of the dispatch mic, even when I'm not wearing the headset. When I open my closet door, I swear I see a flash of a uniform, just like mine, a figure in the mirror behind me, eyes wide, not blinking, mouth moving with mine, speaking every word I say, just half a second behind that I don't remember falling asleep. One moment, I was sitting at my workstation, staring at the clock, 4:19 a.m., and the next, everything was dark. Not lights out dark, just nothing, like time folded in on itself. When I came to, I was in the break room, alone. The coffee in my cup was still warm, but I didn't remember pouring it. My badge was clipped to my chest, but it wasn't my name. It looked like it, but the letters were rearranged. Slightly off, almost right. The shift lead said there'd been an incident. That's all they would say. No details. No report filed. No one would even meet my eyes. When I asked if anyone had seen me leave dispatch room 3 around 4:30, they just gave me that polite, distant stare, like I was speaking a different language. But the hallway camera told a different story. At 4:31 a.m., two of me walked out, side by side. One turned left, one turned right. Only one scanned out, and the building only logged one log out. The rest? Erased. I asked Mike, the security guy, if he saw it. He just said the footage must have glitched, that he'd already overwritten it. I didn't believe him, not when I saw the expression on his face. Pale, like he'd seen something that didn't fit inside the rules of the world. Like the system showed him something he shouldn't have watched. He said, "You looked at the camera, the one that walked out second." He stared right into it, right into me. Then he told me he was transferring departments. Said it too fast, like it wasn't his choice. That morning, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror for almost 10 minutes. I kept watching my own face, blinking, talking out loud, making small expressions, trying to prove I was me. But it felt like something behind my reflection was playing along. Like I wasn't looking into a mirror anymore, just watching something pretending to be me from the other side. Later that day, I checked my phone. I don't remember hearing it ring, but there was a voicemail. No number, no timestamp, just a message, 12 seconds long. And it was my voice, whispering, "That wasn't you." I played it again. Same words, same breath, same rasp at the end, like I just finished speaking too close to the mic. But I hadn't made that recording. I know I didn't. It was like getting a call from your own mouth. I tried to ignore it. Thought maybe I was breaking down. Sleep deprived. Paranoid. But then I noticed something else. My phone's call history showed an outgoing call. 3:14 a.m. Back to dispatch HQ. Duration, 22 minutes. I was supposed to be on shift at 3:14. At the mic. I don't remember leaving the console. I don't remember calling anyone. I don't remember that conversation. But when I pulled the line recording for that time, I heard both voices. Mine and mine. It started calm. Unit 7 responding. Copy that. Coordinates received. Then a pause. Who is this? One of the voices said. Why do you sound like me? The response came cold, steady, like it had practiced. You called me. I shut the file. I started pacing. I checked the mirror again, and I noticed a faint smudge on my neck. Like a thumbprint. Grayish, oily. It wouldn't come off. That night, I stayed after hours. Everyone else clocked out. The building emptied. But I needed answers. I needed proof that I was still real. That I was still the one who belonged. So I sat at dispatch 1, logged in manually, started a diagnostic, and then I heard it. From the far side of the room. Another headset clicking on. Soft breathing. No footsteps. No door. Just the sound of someone sitting down. And the mic going live. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. I was too afraid I'd see my own back. My own shoulders hunched. My own fingers on the console. So I stayed perfectly still, listening. Then, behind me, my voice spoke. Calm. Even. I can do this forever. I slowly reached up and unplugged my headset. No more sound. Just the whir of the server fans. And something moving behind me. I ran. Didn't log out. Didn't shut anything down. I just ran. The next morning, I came back. I had to. I had to know if I was still me. The badge scanned. My password worked. The login recorded under my name. But when I sat down at my usual station, the monitor blinked. Welcome, it said. Second login detected. I froze. Only one station was on. Just mine. But something had logged in at the same time. Same ID. Same name. I checked the workstation list. And station 6 was locked. In use. I walked over. Slowly. No one was there. Chair empty. Screen black. But the indicator light was green. Active session. My name on the screen. My login ID. I reached out and touched the mouse. Just enough to wake the screen. And for a split second, just before it blinked off again, I saw the webcam view. It showed someone sitting at the station. But it wasn't me. It was him, looking straight into the camera. No smile. No blink. Just watching. Like he was waiting for me to find him. I shut everything down. Left early. Didn't care if I got flagged. And that night, I packed a bag. Grabbed everything I could and drove out of the city. Just needed space. Needed distance. But halfway through the drive, my phone buzzed. Voicemail again. Same unknown number. I pulled over. Heart racing. Played the message. Just 2 words. Too late. I stared at the screen. I wanted to throw the phone out the window. But then the call history updated. Incoming call, this time with my own number. A mirror call. Time, 4:01 a.m. Duration, midnight. Like it rang inside itself. I don't remember dialing. I don't remember answering. But the phone says I did. I went off grid after that. No more calls. No more dispatch. Tried to vanish. But the thing is, I'm not sure I ever made it out. Last week, I checked the dispatch staff page. Curiosity. Or maybe some desperate need to prove I was free. And there I was. Still listed. Still employed. Still working night shifts. I haven't been back in months. But somehow, I'm still logging in. Still taking calls. Still responding. And now, every time I look in the mirror, I hesitate. Because I don't know if the face looking back is the one that walked out. Or the one that stayed behind. And sometimes, just before I fall asleep, I hear my own voice, right next to me, whispering through the dark. Which one logged out? I used to think night shifts were boring. Most of them are, really. The city sleeps mostly. You get a couple of drunk calls, maybe a domestic argument, a few medical emergencies. Sometimes silence stretches so long it wraps around your thoughts, and you have to fight not to drift off at the console. But that night, the night it started, I haven't been able to sleep since. It began at 2:13 a.m. The alert buzzed, shrill and sharp, dragging my mind back into focus. Fire call. Structure blaze. 817 Mercer Street. 3rd floor reported in flames. Woman screaming. Possible child inside. I remember the way the words looked on the screen. Like they were already burned in, like they'd been there before. My partner, Drew, gave me a nod. He was chewing a piece of gum, like he always did when things got serious. We dispatched the fire crew, alerted medics, and marked the call open. I stayed on the line with the woman. Her voice was high, panicked, too panicked to be faked. It's spreading, she screamed. Oh God, my son, he's in his room, I can't. The phone cut out with a crackle. I stared at the waveform on my screen, frozen for just a second. Call dropped, I muttered. Could be fire damage. Drew nodded. They'll be there in 5. She said 3rd floor, right? Yeah. Apartment C. I didn't think much more about it. It was scary, sure. But fires happen. Tragedy happens. We're trained not to get too emotionally involved. You can't carry every call home. But then, at 2:29 a.m., the same alert came in again. Same address. 817 Mercer. Same words. Structure fire. 3rd floor. Screaming woman. Possible child inside. I froze. I thought maybe it was a glitch, some auto-resend, a technical hiccup. I glanced at Drew. He was already frowning. Did you mark that one closed? He asked. Not yet, I admitted. They're still on site. Then why is it coming in again? He leaned over and tapped the screen. It wasn't a duplicate. It was logged as a fresh call. Pull it up, I said. He did. Same voice. Same panic. Word for word. Like someone had hit rewind and play. I listened in. It's spreading. Oh God, my son, he's in his room, I can't. And then the cut. Exact same crackle. Okay, I whispered. That's not right. We both looked at the incident board. The fire team had already been marked on scene. Medics too. Report from one of the responders said the place was fully engulfed on arrival. No signs of life. They were still suppressing the flames. I called them. Captain Moran answered. Yeah, we're still working the blaze. Full 3rd floor involvement. No survivors yet. You didn't send another team out? I asked. To respond again? He sounded confused. No, you sent us once. Why? No reason, I lied. Just checking radio overlap. I hung up and turned to Drew. We didn't send a second alert. No one did. He didn't say anything. We just sat there, staring at the screen. And then it happened again. 2:44 a.m. Same call. Same woman. Same words. I felt something clench in my chest, hard and cold. Like my ribs were turning in on themselves. Drew finally said it. We're in a loop. No, I said. It's just some weird. Maybe the system cached the call. Maybe she's in shock and keeps redialing. She died in the fire, Sarah. He didn't raise his voice. He just said it quiet. Soft. The way someone says something they're trying not to believe. They pulled the bodies, he added. A woman and a kid. Matching the description. That was 10 minutes ago. Then we got the 4th call. Same time gap. 15 minutes. Same voice. By the 5th time, Drew stopped chewing his gum. At 3:30 a.m., we both tried logging off. The screen froze. I clicked log out 3 times before giving up. You ever see something like this before? I asked. He shook his head. You? No. I paused. What if we're the ones stuck? Stuck where? Here. This shift. Like it's not moving forward. Like we're inside something. You're tired. I laughed, but it was dry. You think sleep explains this? He didn't answer. Neither of us touched our coffee anymore. At 3:59, another call. This one was different. Still 817 Mercer. But the woman's voice, it was lower. Slower. Like she was, I don't know, resigned. Hollow. It's spreading, she whispered. My son, he's in his room. And then, almost like she knew I was there, she said something new. Why won't you help us? The phone cut out. Drew stared at me. Did you hear that? Yeah. He stood up, walked to the window. It was pitch black outside, but I could tell something was wrong. He just stood there, motionless. And then he said something that turned my stomach. There's no sun. It's 3 a.m, I said. No, I mean, look. He pointed to the horizon. No glow. No stars. Just black. Like it's painted on. I looked too. He was right. At 4:15, I tried calling my own phone. No signal. Tried texting my sister. Hey, are you awake? Message failed. Drew tried calling his girlfriend. Got a fast, busy tone, the kind that sounds like it's echoing from a tunnel. We stopped trying after that. The room felt colder. Not air conditioning cold, empty cold. Like the temperature drops when someone walks over your grave. I found myself rubbing my arms without realizing it. Then the screen flashed again. Another call, but this time no location, no ID, no waveform, just audio. The woman again, but she wasn't screaming anymore, just whispering. You let us burn. Click. I stood up so fast my chair fell over. What the hell is happening? Drew didn't answer. He was staring at the monitor. His reflection in the black screen looked off. I noticed it before he did. He blinked. The reflection didn't. I reached over and turned off the monitor. Stop staring, I said. I think I saw it move, he whispered. I know. At 4:30, we checked the call log history. None of the Mercer calls were listed. Just a blank line, as if nothing had come in since midnight. We tried calling the fire station. No answer. Tried 911 from a cell. No answer. It was just us, and the console, and the endless loop. At 5 a.m., the first call came in again. Back to the beginning. Same timestamp, 2:13 a.m. But we were already past that. We were hours past that. Only, the clock on the wall had stopped ticking. Hand stuck at 2:13. I pulled out my phone. 2:13. Drew checked his watch. 2:13. I don't remember when I started crying. It wasn't loud, just quiet tears. My body trying to release something it didn't know how to process. I whispered to Drew, what if this is the shift we never leave? He didn't look at me. He just kept staring at the screen. The last thing I remember that night was the sound of my own voice coming through the headset. But I hadn't said anything. I wasn't speaking. It was a call from me. The voice said, call repeats. Click. And then the screen went black. And the clock ticked back 1 second. 2:12 a.m. Again, and again, and again. You ever have a nightmare so vivid that when you wake up, it takes a second to realize who you are? That's what the second loop felt like. Only, I didn't wake up. I just opened my eyes, and I was right back in the chair. Same desk, same glowing screen, same fire call blinking red. 2:13 a.m. The timer never changed. Drew looked over at me, mouth half open like he was about to speak, but he didn't say anything. Just stared. His lips were pale, his eyes sunken. I whispered, we did this already. He didn't blink. I checked the time again. Still 2:13. Like the clock was broken, but the world kept moving anyway. Like the air still carried forward, but everything else, people, choices, consequences, just ran in circles. I reached out and tapped the screen. Call came in. Structure fire at 817 Mercer. Woman screaming. Possible child inside. I mouthed the words along with it. I knew them by heart now. Each syllable branded on my brain like a hot iron. The call connected. I didn't even need to say hello. She started screaming the same line. It's spreading. Oh God, my son. He's in his room. I can't. Then the static cut off. Perfectly timed. It was like I was watching someone rehearse their death. Over and over. And I was the only one watching. We dispatched units again. Drew was quieter this time. Just typed the call info, confirmed the crew, sent it out. He didn't even chew his gum. I think we're in the third loop, I said. He didn't look up. The first one ended with the screen going black, remember? And the second, we heard my voice at the end. He nodded slowly. Yeah. Do you think it's going to keep changing? He looked at me then. Not with curiosity. With fear. I think we're supposed to notice something, he said. Then he turned the volume on his headset all the way up, like he was waiting for another whisper in the dark. 15 minutes passed. Or, I think it did. The clock never moved, but I could feel the weight of the time. In the way my legs tingled. In the way my stomach tightened. Then the fire call came again. Fourth time, same voice. Same panic. Same words. Except this time, the call didn't cut out. This time, the woman kept talking. Why aren't they coming? She sobbed. You said they were coming. My baby's in there. Please. Please. Why are they just standing there? I froze. Ma'am, I said before I could stop myself. Help is on the way. They're right there. No, she cried. They're not moving. They're just standing at the edge, watching it burn. My heart dropped into my gut. Who? I asked. She didn't answer. She screamed. Then silence. Not even static this time. Just a deadline. I pulled off my headset and looked at Drew. They're not responding, I said. He tapped into the fire team's channel. No reply. We tried the backup line. Nothing. Then we got the system ping. Unit 42B. Connection lost. That's the truck we sent. They weren't just not responding. They were gone. At 2:13 again, we looped. Back to the start. Same chairs. Same lights. Same blinking call. But the fire unit never returned to the board. It was like the system forgot they ever existed. Only we remembered. And the gap they left behind was so loud it felt like a scream. By the fifth loop, the medics vanished too. We sent them after the call came in, like we always did. But they never confirmed. Just another silent drop. Unit 71. Connection lost. Gone. Deleted. And it was only us again. Me and Drew. Except he wasn't acting like Drew anymore. He stopped talking to me around loop 6. Wouldn't look at me. Wouldn't answer when I said his name. He just sat there, hands on the keyboard, waiting for the call to come in. Sometimes he would flinch before it did, like he could feel it coming, like a ghost brushing the back of your neck. I told myself to breathe, to remember my name, to stay grounded. But everything was blurring together. The loops, the minutes, the calls, all layered on top of each other like wet paper. Then loop 7 started. I blinked. Drew's chair was empty, still warm, still rolling slightly like he'd just gotten up, but he was gone. I stood up so fast the blood rushed to my head. Drew! I checked the hall, the break room, the bathroom. Gone. His login was still active, but the space beside me fell hollow, like he'd been pulled out of it, like a stitch unraveling. The room got colder. It was just me then. One dispatcher, one chair, one call, always the same. I let it ring when it came through. Didn't answer it. Didn't touch the screen. Just stared at it blinking for maybe 5 minutes, maybe 5 hours. But eventually, curiosity eats you. I picked it up. The voice on the other end wasn't the woman this time. It was a child, a little boy, soft, quiet, almost like he was whispering from under a blanket. Hi, he said. Are you there? My throat went dry. Yes, I said. I'm here. He didn't speak right away. Then, are you the one who keeps sending them? Sending who? The firemen. The loud ones. With red lights. I swallowed. We're trying to help you. No, you're not, he said. You keep watching me burn. Then he started humming. A soft little lullaby. Something I think I heard as a kid. Twinkle, twinkle, maybe but twisted. Off key. The line went dead. That loop ended differently. This time, the power flickered. All the screens went black, just for a second, then flashed back on. Only the dispatcher software was gone. Just a single command line blinking. Repeat confirmed. Proceeding. I backed away from the desk. I didn't want to play anymore. But it wasn't up to me. The room reset. And I blinked. 2:13 again. Same desk. Only, the door was gone. No exit. No break room. No hallway. Just the 4 walls. Console. Chair. Headset. And the call. I screamed. Hit the desk. Threw the headset across the room. It didn't make a sound when it landed. I ran to the wall where the door used to be and beat my fists against it. Solid. Cold. Like concrete. I was trapped. I turned around, panting, and saw something on Drew's monitor. A reflection. Not mine. His. Still there. Still staring at me. Mouth open like he was about to speak. I walked up slowly. Put my hand against the screen. He did the same. But when I moved, his reflection didn't. He just stayed there, watching me. His eyes started bleeding. By loop 9, I stopped tracking time. Stopped checking the board. I tried unplugging everything. Tried smashing the monitor. It would all reset with the next loop. Every time. Over and over. Only now, it felt like someone, or something, was watching me through the system. The calls still came in, but the voices changed. Sometimes it was the woman, begging. Sometimes the boy. Sometimes something else. Low, guttural. Like a growl wrapped in static. One call I picked up, and it was just breathing. For 5 minutes. Deep and slow. Like it was right behind me. I didn't turn around. I never turn around anymore. Then, somewhere in loop 10 or 11, I found the note. It was tucked under the keyboard. A sticky note. Yellowed and curling. It said, "Don't answer the final call." No signature, just those 6 words. I stared at it until the loop reset again, and again, and again. The next loop was different. The voice didn't call right away. The screen stayed black. And then, it whispered, not in the headset, in my ear. "I'm here now." I spun. No one. I checked the corner, the ceiling, the shadows under the desk. Nothing. Then the monitor came on. A video feed, not the dispatch software. It was me, live, sitting in the chair, looking at the screen. I lifted my hand. The version on the screen didn't. It just smiled. I don't know how many loops I've done. I think I've stopped being real. Maybe I'm a copy now. Maybe the real me burned up in loop 2. Or vanished like Drew. All I know is that the call's coming again. The final one. I feel it. Like pressure in my chest. Like thunder in the walls. It's different this time. Something is whispering behind the static. And I think if I answer it, I won't exist anymore. Not here. Not anywhere. But I don't know how much longer I can resist. The ringing is getting louder. And louder. Like it's coming from inside my own skull. My name is Sarah. I'm a dispatcher. And if you're hearing this, don't answer. Don't pick up. Don't let the night take you too. Because once you're alone, everyone's gone. They say time flies on the night shift. I used to believe that. Hours slipping by between caffeine hits and static on the radio. But tonight, it isn't flying. It isn't moving at all. It's stuck. Right there, 3:07 a.m. And I don't mean that in some poetic, I feel like I'm trapped kind of way. I mean every single clock in this building has frozen. Digital, analog, wall-mounted, wristwatches, phones, all of them. 3:07. Even my damn microwave in the break room. I didn't notice at first. When you're running dispatch on a fire loop, you don't check the clock. You just react. Another house fire. Another screaming voice. Another squad sent out. Then repeat. And repeat again. And again. Every call, same exact words. A woman crying, gasping for breath. It's spreading to the stairs. My son's upstairs. Please, someone. Cut off. Then silence. Then we send a crew. Then nothing. The first few loops, we track the units. We heard their radios. Engine 14, Squad 3, Unit 2 to 4. Then each time we sent them, they vanished. Mid-transmission. Static. Like someone just unplugged the world. Then one shift, it was just me. That's when I looked up. Clock on the console. 3:07 a.m. I tapped the glass. No change. Check my phone. 3:07 a.m. Walk past the hallway thermostat. 3:07 glowing blue. I went to the main security terminal. Pulled up the internal cams. Saw myself, pale, jittery, pacing circles around my desk. In the corner, there's this old wall clock. Big brass thing. Loud ticking. Every shift, that damn tick drives me crazy. But now, nothing. Frozen hands. 3:07. I thought maybe the power blinked. Maybe something fried the circuits. But the lights are fine. Consoles are still running. Calls still coming in. Only, it's always the same one. That same woman. Same scream. Same words. Same panic. And always at 3:07. No one else is called. No other emergency. Just her, trapped in a burning house I can't find on the map. I've tried answering her differently. Saying different things. Asking questions. Screaming back. Staying silent. Doesn't matter. She says the exact same thing. Every time. I tried pulling the tapes from earlier. From before 3:07. But there are no files. Every call log ends right at 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 58 seconds. Then blank. Just a hard stop. I check the backup server. Same thing. Log stop. Screen flickers. System stalls. Then comes back at 3:07. Like that's the only time this place knows now. I even tried calling 911 myself just to see what would happen. Dial tone. Then static. Then my own voice. Not repeating. Not echoing. Responding. 911. What's your emergency? Me. My exact cadence. My words. But I wasn't saying anything. I hung up. Heart pounding. That was when I noticed something worse. It wasn't just the clocks that were stuck. It was me. I looked at the notepad beside me. I'd written the time down earlier. 3:07. Same messy scrawl. I wrote it again. Same exact line. Same pressure. Same slant. Same stroke. I did it again. Identical. Like photocopies of my own handwriting. Like my hand was moving, but the output was preset. I started testing things. Took a paper cup. Crushed it in my fist. Waited a minute. Looked away. Looked back. Uncrushed. Did it again. Watched it this time. Crushed. Waited. Watched. Uncrushed. I tore my sleeve. The threads rewove. I banged my fist against the desk. Hard. Bruise bloomed. Then faded. Then gone. 3:07. I don't think I'm in real time anymore. Or, if I am, it's a version of it that's broken. There's something about this hour. This minute. This exact moment. It's like the building won't move past it. Like I won't move past it. I thought maybe I could leave. Walk outside. Break the loop. But when I opened the front doors, the parking lot was gone. No lights. No cars. No street. Just black. Like a wall of ink pressing against the glass. I pressed my palm to the door. Cold. Breath fogged up the glass. But no reflection. I leaned closer. Tried to see myself. Nothing. Just black. I turned back. Looked up at the front desk cam. The one that faces the lobby. Saw myself walking away from the door, just like I had. Only, my reflection in the monitor didn't match my face. The person on the screen turned to look directly at the camera and smiled. I didn't smile. I didn't move. But they did. Their smile didn't reach their eyes. They looked tired. Hollow. Like they'd been stuck here a lot longer than me. And their clock? Still said 3:07. I turned off the monitor. Tried not to panic. Tried to think like a dispatcher. Calm. Clear. Steps. Step 1. Reboot system. I restarted the mainframe. Lights flickered. Came back up. Same screen. Same call incoming. Same woman. Same cry for help. Step 2. Isolate the call. I traced it. Looked at the metadata. Incoming number. Blocked. But the signal origin? A place that doesn't exist. Coordinates led to an empty field. According to the maps, nothing's been there since the 80s. That's when I saw the location name. Old Ridgeview Asylum. Burned down. Years ago. I remember hearing about it in passing. Urban legends. Ghost stories. Some patient lit the place up. Everyone inside died. Except one. The operator. The story goes, the last dispatcher on shift stayed on the line. Tried to guide people out. Until the fire reached her room. The audio from her final call never got released. But people say she never stopped talking. That the phone kept ringing for days afterward. Always at the same time. I checked the old incident report. Date of fire, March 7th. Time of last known call, 3:07 a.m. I'm shaking now. Because maybe this isn't just a glitch. Maybe I'm not stuck in a loop. Maybe I've taken someone else's place. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here at all. I tried one last thing. I pulled out the office landline. Called my own cell phone. Just to hear a normal ring. A sound that wasn't this cursed console. It rang once. Twice. Then picked up. But no voice. Just breath. Then a whisper. My whisper. It never ends. Then it hung up. I didn't sleep. Didn't move. Just sat there. As the woman screamed again. As the clock stayed frozen. As the air grew colder. I'm still here. Still listening. Still stuck. And I don't think I'm the first. But I might be the last. Because the longer I sit here, the more I forget what time ever felt like. And I'm starting to think 3:07 a.m. isn't when time froze. It's when time died that I always knew this place had a hum. A low, constant buzz under the floor, in the walls, in the wires. Most nights, you don't notice it until something goes wrong. Until the air changes. Until the power dies. I heard it fade tonight, that hum. Like a sigh escaping the building's lungs. Then the lights flickered once, twice, and went out. Everything went black. The monitors, the overheads, even the standby lights on the server rack. Dead. Only sound left was the headset. That soft crackle of a line still open. Still listening. I reached for my phone, thumbed the screen. Still stuck. 3:07 a.m. Even in the dark. I stood up. Instinct more than thought. My body still trying to follow routine, to be useful. But the second I moved, I heard it. A click. Right behind me. Like someone just picked up a second headset. There's only one other station here. Nobody else is scheduled. I froze. I could hear my own breathing. Quick, uneven. Then, someone else breathed in. Long, slow, right in my ear, followed by a voice. Low, calm, almost polite. We've been waiting for your shift to start. I whipped around. Couldn't see anything. Just darkness. The kind that feels like it's pressing in on your eyes. I reached out, found the edge of the desk, felt my way along the cold metal toward the backup light. Every station has one. Small, red, battery-powered. It should have clicked on the second the mains failed. It didn't. I tapped it. Nothing. Dead. Like everything else. Except the damn headset. Still alive. Still open. And whoever's on the other side, they're still there. I heard the chair behind me creak. Slow. Deliberate. Then fingers tapping keys. The same way I do. Except I wasn't typing. I turned slowly. Nothing there. Just the vague shape of the console in the dark. But I could hear it, typing. Tick, tick, tick. Then a pause. Then again. Like someone was logging a call. But I hadn't taken one. I backed away. Who's there? I asked. No answer. Just the sound of typing, stopping. Then the headset crackled again. And that voice came back. You're late. I shook my head. I'm not. I've been on shift. I never left. More silence. Then, that wasn't your shift. I felt something in my chest twist. Like a thread being pulled. My mind scrambled to make sense of it. Maybe this was a prank. A breakdown. Sleep deprivation. Hallucination. But deep down, I knew better. I reached the hallway, using muscle memory to guide me. One hand on the wall. I passed the break room. Something inside it moved. I didn't stop. Didn't look. Just kept going. I made it to the evidence locker, an old room, hardly used anymore. I'd hidden a flashlight there during my first month, just in case. I fumbled around in the dark, my fingers brushing cardboard boxes, cold steel filing drawers. Then, click, the beam snapped on, weak, flickering. But enough. I swept it across the room. Empty. Turned back toward dispatch. And paused. Footprints. Wet ones. Leading from the hallway into the room. But I hadn't come in that way. They weren't mine. They were barefoot. Small. Like a child's. I followed them with the light. Step by step. They stopped at the far wall. Where nothing should be. Just concrete. But the footprints stopped into the wall. Like someone walked straight through. I backed out. Slowly. Made it back to dispatch. Flashlight beam slicing through the dark. The second I stepped in, all the screens turned on. Every monitor. Every terminal. Bright white. And every single one showed the same image. A photo. Of me. Sitting at my console. Headset on. Eyes open. Staring. But not moving. Behind me, in the image, was a figure. Just a blur. Standing where the second headset is. No face. No details. Just presence. Then the images started changing. Fast. Flickering. Me walking. Me crying. Me screaming. Then me disappearing. Frame by frame. Until only the blur remained. Then black. I dropped the flashlight. And that's when the console lit up again. A call. Line 2. Not the repeating one. Not the fire. This was different. The screen showed a name. Unknown dispatcher. I didn't want to answer. But my hand moved anyway. Muscle memory. I pressed the button. And I heard my own voice. But younger. Scared. Hello? Hello, is anyone? I think I'm lost. I don't remember. Static. Then another voice broke in. Older. Hoarse. Female. Whispering. You can't leave once you answer. I slammed the button. Disconnected the call. But the screen didn't go dark. Instead, a file started playing. Audio. An old recording. A woman sobbing. You said you helped me. You said someone was coming. Where are they? The fire call. But the tone was different now. It wasn't panic. It was betrayal. I felt a cold breeze brush my neck. Turned. The second headset was off the hook again. Swinging gently. I moved to put it back. But before I could touch it, it spoke. I remember you. I yanked my hand away. No, I whispered. You don't. You left, the voice said. You always leave. I backed away. But I could feel it now. Something in the room with me. Not just sound. Wait. Like the air was denser. Like something was breathing beside me. Then the lights flickered again. Once. Twice. Then stayed on. Dim. Buzzing. The clocks. Still 3:07. But now, the second hand was moving. One click, then another. Time had returned, but something came with it. I looked around the room. Everything looked normal, but I knew better. Something had crossed over, taken form. I walked to the door, tried it, locked. From the outside, I tried the side entrance. Same. No power to the mechanisms. I was sealed in. I heard movement behind me. Turned. A figure stood at the second console, wearing a uniform. Dispatcher patch. No face. Just a black void where one should be. But I knew them. I recognized the way they sat, the way they tilted their head. I'd seen them in the mirror before. In the dark, after long shifts, when I thought I was alone. The voice came again. Calm. Final. It's your shift now. Then everything went black again. I don't know how long I've been here. The clocks still say 3:07. But the second hand doesn't move anymore. The headset stays on. Calls still come in. Different ones now. A man trapped underground. A girl hearing footsteps in her attic. A kid whispering under his bed. Each call ends the same way. Silence. Then static. Then that voice. Your shift isn't over. I tried writing notes, leaving myself reminders, clues, but they vanish. Paper resets. Ink fades. Like the building won't let me hold on to anything real. And sometimes I hear laughter in the vents. Like kids. Running. Playing. Hiding. Waiting. I think they're the ones calling now. Testing me. Keeping me sharp. Keeping me here. And the worst part? I've started responding like it's normal. 911. What's your emergency? Like I'm part of the loop now. Like the real world is something I dreamed. Like I wanted this. To help. To stay. To never go home. Because the more I answer, the more I forget there was ever anything else. And the building? It remembers. It feeds off the routine. Off the voices. Off the silence. I don't sleep. I don't eat. I just listen. And wait. For the next shift. Whoever they are. If you're reading this. If you find this transcript. Don't answer the call. Even if the line rings forever. Even if it says it's urgent. Even if the voice sounds familiar. Because once you pick up, it's your shift now.